That was Wally on drums. Hey, it's the Bennington Show live on a Monday. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. Now, we started that off with Ben Folds and his lovely Five. Although Keith Welsh wrote in, is that Joey Jojo singing that? Does have a Joey Jojo sound. I thought we'd start a brand new in-house game show here. Guess who picked it? That opening song, was it picked by Gail or Ron? We'll go to Joey Jojo first. Joey.
I'm going to go Gail.
All right. Great reasons for it, too. Vito?
I'm also going to go Gail.
And Chris?
I'm going Ron Bennington because I know Ron Bennington is a big Ben Folds 5 fan.
Chris Stanley's the only person who pays attention to the show.
Thank you.
You're the winner.
Thank you.
You're the winner of the first episode of Who Picked It.
I love it. I love it.
All right, relax, dude. There's a lot more categories to go.
Jeez.
It's not like you won Celebrity Jeopardy. Looks like Baltimore is on the edge right now. The cop was acquitted in the Freddie, was it Gray case? Yeah,
Freddie Gray.
Freddie Gray. So things could get a little sideways in Baltimore.
It looked like it was very tense outside the courthouse. I couldn't really tell what was going on.
Yeah, well, this is, I don't know. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think a lot of times down there in Baltimore is the cops have a difficult time getting along with the locals. Starting to pick up
There's like something about it.
I don't know what it is, you know.
They need to do like some team building exercises.
I would love to do team building.
Some trust falls.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants to catch Vito right now? Joe? Get behind Vito. Well, they both had a busy weekend. We've got some cool stuff coming up later on in the show. Amy Miller is going to be here. Who's coming in with her?
Comedian and her friend, Noah Garden-Schwartz.
Comedian and her friend. Wow, that's a great introduction.
And Noah just got I believe he just got a half-hour special with Comedy Central.
He got a half-hour comedy hour, which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a comedy hour or is it a half hour? Well, that's great for him. But a lot of good young comics got picked this year. It's a good year. And who else we got coming in, Chris?
And then we have James Adomian and Anthony Adamick from the Bernie versus Trump debates.
I don't know whether you guys have ever seen this. It's sweeping the nation, but it's stunningly funny. Vito's in here, so I'm going to have to get the phones myself. Vito, why don't you jump up and run back and get that? You already lost Who Picked It. It's a bad day for you.
Sorry,
we don't have our interns yet.
I know, we don't have them. Very excited to meet the new class. See what's going on with the freshmen this year.
That sounds awful. You're doing more and more male related. That should be your thing. You do impressions, but just of dudes. And that way you can stop doing that French girl from that fucking movie.
Blueberry pancake.
Ugh. I don't know what it is about that.
Hater.
Yeah, Bill Hader. That is the truth. So you said Amy Miller wants to talk about a new app on Tinder for puppies.
It's like a Tinder type app that she was telling me about.
It's something about apps that I just don't want. And I see some of my friends, they go to their phones and there's got to be 2,000 apps on there.
I'm down to about 3. I use my Lyft app, sometimes Uber, and then Seamless. Got no need for anything else.
I mean, what's Seamless for?
That's like ordering food, not having to talk to anyone for it.
Well, you just fucking be a person, dude. It seems like everything about you is just staying in more and more.
I'm becoming more app than man.
That's interesting.
I finally used your Lyft code, by the way, this weekend. So
yes, thank you.
Stop bringing it up.
How was it?
It's fine. It's like Uber. It just doesn't give you, that nice little like line that they give you from destination, and that
you don't
says
get that?
You don't get the line.
I like that. I like to have the line.
I like the line because I know the suggested route, and it gives you the estimated time between those two things. I don't have that. That's my only problem. Otherwise, it's much like Uber.
I'm working on a new app, and it's called the App, and you can just order apps from bars.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. I get rid of Seamless now. Just use the app.
Thanks for bringing up Seamless again. I like when you get a word of the day. Speaking of which, I thought Dan was going to do word of the day with us. Get him here immediately. I don't know who's booking this show, but they're not. And what time's Beth from Tito's coming in?
She is not coming in today. She's flying back to Texas.
Man, that sounds like a great song, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's flying back to Texas. What did I do wrong?
It's like a very specific country song. One of these guys.
Do you think most country songs aren't specific? They're very generalized?
Well, I think that, yes, they are, like, there's a very specific story. It's like, I went to the store, I got this thing, I'm pulling up, I pump my gas. Like, they give you all the details.
It's a story song. The Cats in the Cradle guy did 1 million of those, where it's just like, one, he's just meeting an ugly waitress, and you're just like, why? If I was your friend, this would bore me. This is more like a date. Hey, here's my buddy Bill from Jersey. Hey, Bill.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, pal.
Hey, Ronnie, take a spy report.
Spy report.
Spy report.
Spy report. First of all, before the spy report, Chris is a liar. Again, I caught him on a lie because you've got to have the Periscope out because he's a GoPro.
That's very fucking true.
You mean a banana boy?
You have destroyed your Periscope thing, too. Periscope has him in Periscope jail. And then just the other night, I forget where you were at, but you were Periscoping from the stand. It was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, you started cursing on their Periscope.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I wasn't like using like the really bad ones. They could throw out like maybe a shit or an F-bomb.
Yeah, I know, but that's what put you in Periscope jail. You were on your way. You had your own shirt and everything. You blew your fucking spot, kid.
You had your 15 minutes.
Yeah, and literally was 15 minutes.
Caught him in another lie, Ronnie Pig.
You're
Another
right.
Chris Edley lie.
You're right.
So anyway.
And by the way, I just want to point out, I just remembered what he was saying, jizz.
Oh, God.
Now, you don't even run into anyone where, like, the dad slips and says jizz. You know what I mean? He might slip and say fuck. But he's not going to go, they jizzed all over me.
It's not usually an accidental word.
No. And no one tries to get it on this, past this, the censors on, you know what I mean? All right, so go ahead, Bill.
All right, spy report. Last night, making his WWE return, Seth Rollins.
Now, why wouldn't I get that from Vito?
Why wouldn't this be his spy
Vito
report?
was going to be the guy. Remember when he was doing the Monday night stuff? And
he had
having his wrestlers wrestle against each other.
He was playing Who'd You Want to Win.
Yeah, who you want to win, who you want to win, with his little doll babies. Why don't you tell us about it, Vito?
Well, I wanted to give you guys a few more hours, and I don't want to spoil it for you. I wanted you to watch that big pop Seth Rollins came at the end of the night, you know?
No, you're not making any sense. I want you to watch it. What do you think? I'm going to watch it here during the show?
I thought maybe you'd watch it tonight, then tomorrow I'd be like, hey, you saw that thing the other night?
So you said a couple more hours. I thought he meant during the show today. You meant 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be watching tonight.
Don't worry about spoiling.
I can't watch it tonight because I have to do adulthood. So I can't sit around watching fucking Seth Rollins walk out. Well, best of luck to him, you know? I hope they write him into the championship. What'd you do all weekend, Joe?
I went on a nice date this weekend.
With Philly girl?
No, with this new girl.
What's the story with her?
Well, I met her through my roommate at a show a few weeks ago. And yeah.
Was it Charlie?
No, it was my roommate Sierra. And it was her friend, so I went out on a nice date with her.
Like a real date? Like,
yeah.
Not just a hookup, but you took her somewhere. Where'd you take her?
I took her to the pizza spot that I live across from.
So you walked across the street with her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Right. And you consider that a date?
That's serious.
Now, did Archie and Jughead come along, or was it just you and Veronica? Do you see what I'm fucking saying here?
They were there in case it went poorly.
So you took her across the street. You had a slice.
Yeah.
Now, is it a sit-down pizza place, or, I mean, let me just say this. Is there a door, or do you just walk in and off the fucking street?
Yes, there's a door.
Good, all right.
And you can sit down or order pickup.
But could you get pasta, or is it just...
Straight up pizza.
Okay,
See, that's not a date.
Yeah.
You took her to like a dollar slice across the street.
But it's a coal oven pizza restaurant. There's only 4 in the city. So I was like, hey, let's go here. That was
more
the,
than 4.
Bullshit.
the draw.
4.
It's New York City.
I know.
You don't think we got coal ovens up the fucking ass out here?
He's right, Joe. I mean, I know I go in a lot of places, they say coal oven. I go, I don't give a fuck. Just fucking cook the pizza.
We have it coming up the ass, apparently.
I mean, we're jizzing these things.
The owner lied.
All right, so what happened?
Okay, so we got pizza, and then we went back to my place across the street.
This is not a fucking date.
That's not a date. You fed someone before having sex with her. That's what happened. That is totally different.
Tomato.
It's tomato. No one. I've never met anyone who says tomato. And I've been all over this fucking country. No one says tomato.
But you have met people who say potato.
No,
that one is especially
that fucking
insane.
song's a lie. You say tomato. I say tomato.
You
Why?
do.
Why would you?
That's the weirdest thing is he's saying he says tomato. You're wrong, dude.
I guess that's his thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he'll just say everything. Like, he'll be like this, happy Monday. Let's go grab a Tixie. You know, like after a while, you're trying to be interesting, but you're not. All right. So this fucking big date, you won almost 60 feet.
Yeah. There and back.
Now, what is this? Are you saying this because you're kind of serious about this girl?
Well, no, this is the second time we met up, so I'm still feeling it out right now.
No, but you say feeling it. You mean her vagina?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Dating her.
He's like a fucking dude, bro. Like, fucking Vito wishes he was a dude, bro, but Joe is.
He's like a secret, bro.
Yeah. I don't even think it's a secret. You know? Charlie's a fucking bro.
Oh, God, yeah.
Charlie's definitely a bro. H-ster, bro.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another reason why they're bros. Because he fucking puts on a Vikings jersey when he watches the game.
What a pussy.
I find that the worst.
What's wrong with that?
Seriously? If you're 12, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But to act like, oh, I can't watch the game, I can't find my jersey. That's fucking stupid.
What if someone needs me? What if they need to call me in?
There's another reason why I fucking seriously despise Joe. All right. So he always acts like, oh, I wish I was back in Minnesota. Minnesota's so great. Then I hear about fucking Prince. He dies. Not one of these fucking animals in Minnesota looked for him. He was laying 6 hours dead in an elevator. Jesus. And fucking people from Minnesota were just stepping over him, taking the fucking thing up to the 8th floor, getting off, more people getting in.
How could they? That's sick.
Isn't that fucking heartbreaking?
It really made me sad when I saw that.
And it's Minnesota. They're fucking cold as their own weather. Ugh.
Call that a Tuesday.
Dude, seriously. Don't fucking joke about Prince. Joke about a lot of shit. But you never fucking deserved him. You do deserve to not win a fucking Super Bowl in 50 years.
Oh, God.
More than the next 50 either.
Oh, no.
Do you wish that Prince was a New Yorker?
Yeah, he'd still be alive today.
We'd have treated him well, Ron.
Hey, David in Rochester wants to make fun of Joe.
Hey, Joe. Tomato. I know you always say tremblay, but I say tremblay. That's one of those words.
I say tremblay. You say tremblay.
Fucking Minnesota weirdo.
Thank you, David.
He's
you know
right.
what? I'm going to send you into the prize closet for that. Yeah, you deserve it for attacking Minnesota.
Congratulations.
It's the Pretty Good Prize Closet. We have pretty good prizes. It's the Pretty Good Prize. It's the Pretty Good Prize Closet. We have good prizes.
David in Rochester. You win a copy of Porcelain signed by Moby.
What? That's a fucking sweet book.
That is a very cool prize.
From what I understand, we're going to get a summer reading list this year, too, huh?
I cannot wait for this summer reading list. It's going to be, I believe Larry and Lori from Yonkers are putting together a summer reading list up on the iBang.
I would like to call them Larry and Lori from Lonkers. That's what, just keep the alliteration going. So this is summer reading.
This is the definitive summer reading list for summer.
A little beach book for yourself. Something to have nice next to the pool.
Mm-hmm. Sit in the park.
Yeah.
Yes, everywhere you'd like to read.
Or go inside in the air conditioning.
On the subway if you still are going to work.
To sit down and read novels, it's a luxury that has left my life because I'm reading too many, and I hate to say it, stupid bios for everybody. Just one bio after another. Oh, Dan, you're finally down here? Come on in. I didn't ask for him to come down and stand behind you, Chris. All right, Dan, and he's taken forever to do this. Do you ever notice that ever since Dan kissed up to Hillary Clinton, he's got no time for the rest of us?
Yeah,
He's better than us.
Sorry, I was busy standing behind Chris.
Dan, I already heard from Chris that you're a fucking vicious weed head, that you're just always smoking weed.
Vicious is one way to put it.
You smoke a lot of weed, huh? Now, do you smoke with others or by yourself?
Both.
Who are your friends?
A lot of friends, plenty of friends.
People, define what kind of people you hang out with.
There's a wide
imaginary. It sounds like imaginary.
These
friends.
are real people, or
I believe them to be real. They could still be imaginary, right? I mean, I wouldn't know, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, Weedy. You know what I'm saying?
Looks like he's smoked himself crazy.
Yeah. How long does it take to fucking hook David from Rochester up? I see Vito just struggling with it over there. All right, Dan, what's your new bit you had? Your fucking rumor bit fell into the shitter. That didn't work out the way we wanted it.
Well, we did have an unreleased edition of Dan's
it's
Gossip.
unreleased because guess what?
It got canceled.
Chris told me it blew.
That thing's in Prince's vault.
We're gonna let it go.
Chris.
One of the new interns will be Gossip Guy. He'll gossip about the other interns. All right, what do you got now?
Well, this is kind of a big deal. It's Dan's word of the day.
There's no music for it or anything?
No.
There's no opening?
No.
He's just very enthusiastic.
Chris, were you surprised there's no opening and no imaging?
I was weirded out because word of the day was supposed to be big. I mean, he always has a word of the day.
All right, well, what is it?
Well, it's an exciting word. It's called, and it's a noun, Jim Jams.
Jim Jims?
Jim Jams.
Oh, I thought it was Jim Jims.
Jim Jam's like, that's my Jim Jam.
See, Jim Jims with all you Jim Jims uptown. That was, who did that fucking song? Jim Carroll. Did that song,
really?
Right? Yeah.
Would you like to hear it used in a sentence?
Yeah, Jim
Sure.
Jams.
Jim Jams. Well, I have the Jim Jams right now because I am extremely nervous and have jitters. That's what Jim Jams means, is to be extremely nervous.
All right, well, thanks for being in, Dan. That was great. Appreciate it, buddy.
Great job.
You're giving me the Jim Jams. All right, it is the Bennington Show on a Monday. Let's go over here to Charlie. This is Charlie. What's up, buddy?
Ronnie B. Last night on, first of all, no spoilers.
Good.
But last night on Tits and Dragons, we have to check in with Chris. It was a very sad episode, and like not even normal sad, like above normal sad. Like, is he all right?
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
What happened? Who
It
got
was a
killed?
sad
Somebody
one.
got killed?
I would say, I'm only going to say is a beloved, universally beloved, liked and loved character.
I got good news for you, though. A witch will just make him alive again.
Not this time.
No, this is done, gone for good.
How do you know? A witch could just make him alive. They do that on this show.
There ain't no witch.
There's no witch in his storyline.
Of where he's at. I don't want to give anything away.
Give something away. Who is it? Pete?
Right. It's not Pete. No.
It's not Pete the Dragon, is it?
No, the dragons are totally fine, actually. They're fucking better than ever.
He says dragons.
Hey, why don't you do your next fucking song, right?
Okay.
And it's Stop Dragging My Heart Around, but Stop Dragging the Plot Around. Stop dragging the plot around. So nobody will tell me I don't know who's fucking worse at radio, you or Dan. Neither one of you will get to the point, Chris.
All right, spoiler alerts. If no one wants to know what happened in Game of Thrones last night, you should probably just tune out for a second. So this is who passed away last night.
Passed away? You're saying it that way?
Ripped apart,
murdered.
Ripped apart by a zombie army. Hodor, the Stark family's longtime servant.
What's going on?
Hodor is a beloved character.
It's beloved. I haven't seen this season yet.
Why would you stay with this?
I said spoiler alert, Dan.
Dan, you should have left.
I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
What the fuck?
Make a big deal
Oh
of what?
my God, Dan!
Hodor's dead.
I feel terrible.
Queen Elizabeth is mad at me. She says, "Oh Christ, please stop turning to the hooved animal for a recap on Game of Thrones." You're right. I won't do it anymore after today. It's like fucking yanking teeth.
I'll give a spoiler. Last night's episode of Tits and Dragons should have been called Dicks and Dragons.
Oh, they showed some
Nice.
dicks?
Yeah, there was D.
There was an unnecessary close-up of a
Very
penis.
unnecessary.
Was
No
it-
reason whatsoever.
Was that the first time in Tits and Dragons history?
No.
No, there's been multiple penises. We even saw Hodor's penis in season 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought last night before he was killed.
No.
No.
But this was a really, really unnecessary penis close-up. I'm not really sure. It wasn't even a character we know.
Did they put a GoPro on the end of it?
They might as well. It was that close.
The guy was just talking about warts he had on his penis. There was really, literally no reason for them to go to a diseased penis.
There was no reason for them to give a close-up of a penis.
Now,
of a character
how
we
was
don't know.
Hodor killed?
Ripped apart-
Diabetes?
Maybe it might have happened if he didn't get killed by the
So
zombies.
no one on that show can feel safe.
Oh, no, no one at all, no. Like the antagonist, the person you thought was going to be the star for the entire series was killed in the first season. That's Ned Eddard Stark.
Someone's name is Ned?
Yeah, Ned. Well, officially it's Eddard Stark, but they called him Ned for short. He was Lord of the North, King of Winterfell.
What's that?
He was the King of Winterfell, the biggest city
'cause
in the
you,
north.
You have this thing where you just fall off mic as you're explaining it. You start screaming, and then you slowly... Dan is the only person who's louder on the radio than you.
He is. And in real life, he's louder
And
on
he's
the
just
radio.
had his second failed bit. We have now got to think of a third place to put Dan. Ba, ba, da, da, do, do, do. 42 new releases they're doing. Good, because I need some summer. People are yelling because you said antagonist.
Protagonist.
You're the fucking antagonist of this show. See, Britney Spears came to the Billboard Awards in just her underwear. Like a dream that every fucking junior high school girl has. That she showed up for the big dance in nothing but her underwear.
Except for she was fully confident about it for
Yeah.
some reason. It's a very weird underwear. Like it was a weird look.
She's fucking weird. Everything about her is weird.
She's strange. She's a strange person.
You could be sued for calling her a singer. That's how long it's been since she's actually sung anything.
There it is. It's like weird, like there's material just like sticking out from the crotch area. It's a kind of a weird look.
She doesn't dress herself. And also, I think those underwear are on backwards.
She doesn't know how to put on underwear.
No.
It's been ages since she had to put on her own underwear.
She's and just goes out and doesn't even attempt to lip sync. You would have to move your lips. A lot of times she's just not even trying.
No.
You see her counting her dance steps.
She doesn't know what's going on around her.
And that Madonna Purple Rain thing was...
I didn't see it. She did a Prince tribute.
I guess you could call it that. But, I mean, no one ever said, oh, Madonna's a great singer. But she's even far past that now.
Right.
And Stevie Wonder came out and sang with her. And she didn't get to him fast enough, and you saw him reaching. They just push him off on the stage, and she's supposed to catch him, and she doesn't get there in time. And you just see him have a fucking nervous moment.
Where he's just like, where's my person?
Right.
Oh. So was it just Purple Rain, did they just do Purple Rain, or was it like a...
She did Nothing Compares to You into Purple Rain. And she actually started with, it was 6 hours before any other Minnesotan went and found our prince.
Oh, man.
Laying on the floor of the elevator. That's just fucking heartbreaking.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, but I'm glad she brought it up.
Well,
to
she's
expose
from Detroit, Detroit, they take care of their own there.
Mm-hmm. They have a strict moral code that I think you'll see people in Minnesota just don't have.
Okay, yeah.
And then that Rihanna, is that her name, Rihanna?
Mm-hmm.
Rihanna, yeah.
She fucking sang a song Otis Redding could have sang. I'm like, where did a fucking actual song bust out during these days? And then they also announced this about her. She's had 14 number one hits.
Yeah, she's...
That's like Elvis numbers after a while.
Crushing it. Like,
and I couldn't tell you one. She doesn't have a memorable fucking song.
A Diamond song was her, right? Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Shine
you just...
bright like a diamond.
All right, there we go. One of us can sing along with it. That's it.
Umbrella? That was her.
Umbrella, Ella.
I did not know that was her.
Yeah, I think that was her first one, right? I think it was.
Her first number one.
Yeah. I know it's not her first song she ever sang in her life. First hit.
And now she has Bitch Better Have My Money.
Put on the newest song. I think it's something about Love on the Brain or something. That was the one she was singing last night. And it was literally a soul song. And I was fucking stunned.
And it was like her voice was good, or it was just like
the fucking song itself could have been sung by Otis Redding. That's what I'm saying. Like it was an actual 1960s soul song. Waiting on our guests to show up.
They're running a few minutes behind our guests.
Thank you.
This song's great.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
This song could have been sung by Philadelphia's own Solomon Burke. That's how fucking what of a soulful song was. I was surprised.
I love this song. This is awesome.
I love to sit around and bitch about, pop stars today having no depth on them, but that's an actual soul song. Here's Mark, Arizona. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I wasn't going to give up my Family Guy last night to see the whole show, but the parts I saw were pretty forced, and the lip syncing was so bad. I thought I saw Britney Spears take a bite out of a ham sandwich in the middle of the song. And
Mark, I saw that joke. It was on Family Guy, so I know where you're getting I know where that humor comes from.
Makes sense.
All right. Mark in Arizona wrote some material.
The last sound of him just going, wait, what?
What? I never stole anything. I never took anything. Hey, this is good news. Kevin Smith back on Southwest Airlines after all these years.
I'm so glad that they've made up.
Well, the reason why he made up is that he had no other flight that he could get that could possibly take him nonstop. That's the funny thing about saying you'll never do something is circumstances could change that.
Right.
Like, I don't want to drive there. Now, this is something about Kevin I like to talk to him about, though. I think he opens his eyes too big when he gets his pictures taken.
Oh, yeah, you could just, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Even just a little bit.
But you don't want to go four sides white like that. He's very thin now, though.
I was just going to say, he looks like he's dropped a ton of weight.
65 pounds, he said.
Whoa.
Since he was kicked off the airplane before. Looks good.
He looks great. Keep it up, Kevin Smith, and enjoy that Southwest flight.
Yeah. Well, he's probably still mad at him a little bit, but...
oh, yeah, it hurt. It wasn't nice.
But he did want to fly there.
Did you watch SNL this weekend?
Yeah, but before I get to that, people wrote in, you don't see Hodor die. Save your assumptions, Chris.
Hodor is dead.
You don't know that, though.
I know that. Hodor is dead. There's no way they bring him back. He was ripped apart by a zombie horde. He's gone.
We didn't see it happen.
I saw his face being scratched apart.
That's different than being fucking killed. It's different. A witch could easily just stitch him up and he's fine.
There are only White Walkers up there. There are no witches.
And once you're killed by a White Walker, you become one.
Yeah.
It's important.
So he's back as a White Walker.
Yeah,
he
he'll be
might
back.
be.
If they
All right, so this is stupid to mourn a character that hasn't left. All he's done was swerve to the other side.
But now he'll be evil.
Yeah, but if you say somebody joined the NWO, you're like, Hulk Hogan's dead. He's Hollywood Hogan, I guess.
dead to me.
But the real Hulk Hogan's dead. This is why I fucking hate talking to you guys about your baby shows. They don't make any sense.
the weird thing is they now added time travel into the show as well.
Oh, that's the weird thing, isn't it?
There's ice zombies, time travel, dragons.
And you guys still like this shit.
Yeah, this last episode was great.
This thing looks like a fucking cheesy chess set no one ever wants to buy. You were talking about SNL.
Did you see it this weekend?
I did.
I thought that opening monologue was so damn funny. Fred Armisen does a one-man show as his opening monologue.
Hey, there's Freddie. You're never gonna make it out of here.
Funny Freddie.
But here's the thing with Fred Armisen. If he was my friend, eventually I would punch him. I wouldn't be able to stand it. But I thought even better than that was his ending song where he was dressed like fucking Greg Allman and then singing some song that doesn't exist but actually could fit into that genre of music.
I loved there's some really great sketches. I loved him as the new girlfriend.
Hilarious. Now, here's the deal. No one took the time to act like they were leaving at the end of the year. You have this entire sketch. I'm not saying anything, but one of them's been there for 15 fucking years or something. And I'm like, yeah, I guess he's, because I know he's doing stuff with Marty Short's new show, blah, blah, blah. But no one looked like they were leaving.
Mm-mm. Did not look like it at all.
That's unusual, right? You want to have that feeling this is the last show done by somebody.
Right.
There's
There's got to be
when
someone
Lauren just cuts them in the summer,
It's mean. Let them have a graduation moment.
All right, let's do this. We'll put this and we'll save it for, I guess they'll be back late November. Who's out? Who's not coming back?
I'm going to say Keenan is out.
Really?
Keenan never leaves. That's the one who's been there 15 years. He just doesn't go. And if you go back and watch him when he was a little kid on Nickelodeon, same delivery, same everything. Chris, I see you looking at the thing instead of paying attention.
Jay Farrell leaves the show.
No way.
Mm-mm. No way.
Jay still hasn't even hit it. What do you got?
Maybe Pete Davidson on to new things.
Oh. Dan, do you want to scream out? Well, your answer.
Maybe Bobby.
No, not Bobby.
No.
God damn it. Why would you say
I'm
it?
going to make a prediction based on a little joke Michael Che said. Colin Jost is not coming back next year.
What?
Yeah. Because Che made a little joke about it.
Really?
They don't want to do the thing together. It's awkward.
It is a little awkward.
It's not a little. It's a lot awkward. And I'm sure they're both, I know Che's hilarious. I wish they let him do Che jokes in there instead of Seth Meyer jokes. But, that's it. Colin Jost, sorry. Vito doesn't have a guess. Come on, Chris. Are you running stuff in the other room?
What's happening?
Never mind. It's done. That's enough. Forget it. Oh, you can't. What just happened? Why were you screaming at him?
Because he was just nodding at me. I was like, who do you think is out of SNL? And Vito was just nodding at me. I don't know.
Why don't you have a team yet? None of your team even answered back that thing that went out the other day about... And did you check up on it?
No, I did not.
As another funny joke?
No.
I like the guy who threw himself to the Lions over the weekend because I feel like there's not enough Christian in the Lions. Now, here's the deal. So he wants to commit suicide. He takes off his clothes. He dives into a lion pit. The zookeepers come running out. They shoot all the lions dead.
Yeah, so and I believe he's in critical condition, like he's still alive. He survived this suicide by lion, but did in fact get the lions murdered.
Unbelievable.
This is the worst suicide attempt there is.
It's got to be the worst of all time. The worst of all time.
This is like the most selfish of suicides.
It's too slow. I mean, you don't know. They could just be eating you as you're bleeding out. It's insane to do this.
And then there's that other great video where a zoo worker is getting punched around by a kangaroo, which is, I think, fairly dangerous, but the children were laughing. Turn up sound, please.
Literally, look at their boxing. I don't think he likes kangaroo versus ass. It's not funny. It's not funny. Watch out, guys. You gotta get out of that thing.
I need help.
It's not funny, guys.
And by the way, that was the weakest fucking I need help I've ever heard in my life. I need help.
I need help.
Kangaroo keeps punching me. Now, by the way, she's yelling. She's telling her kids to stop laughing. They're being inappropriate. She's fucking trying to go viral rather than get help for this guy.
I know.
He's being attacked by a wild animal, and she's holding her phone up.
You heard him quietly ask for help.
Yeah. I need help.
I need help. The best is, like, you know that what he's experiencing is terrifying and probably really painful, but that's the worst kind of thing because you know that it just looks comical. Like, it looks like embarrassing to be beaten by a kangaroo.
It looks like
it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it is a cartoon. The boxing kangaroo.
The kangaroo's arms are pretty small.
Yeah, but do you ever see how they kick? They'll kill a person.
Oh,
yeah.
they will.
Yep. The arms are to set you up for the big fucking for the big kick. Hi, you're on the Bennington show.
Hey, Ron. Damn it! Y'all came straight to me.
My guys are very busy over there today. They're not answering questions, and they're stumbling back and forth. But go ahead.
I sing my song for all to hear. I think that, by the way, that was my favorite sketch, and I think that may have been Pete Davidson being Don.
No, you're reading too much into it.
It's still my favorite sketch.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a fine sketch. Was that done live or was it taped?
That was taped.
No, that's what they do best now.
Yeah, that's their biggest thing.
They tape better than they do live. All right, do I need to take a break here, Chris, and let you guys get straightened out?
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, we'll take a break, and you can start doing your job. This is Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. And James Adomian and Anthony Atamanik are in studio. They're part of the Trump versus Bernie debate tour 2016, which is happening right now. They'll be at the Music Hall of Williamsburg tonight at 7:30 p.m. and at the Bowery Ballroom in Manhattan tomorrow night. Go to TrumpVersusBernie.com for all additional dates.
This is literally one of the most unexpected, greatest comedy runs anyone has ever gone on to. Fate has played into your hands, and you guys were ready to take the ball, run with it. It's phenomenal.
Thank you, Ron. That's pretty much, what happened.
Well, I was saying it's like a great blackjack run at the Trop in AC. You're just like, this is impossible. How do I keep getting, split tens? Although you'd never split tens. What am I talking about?
But you know what I love about it? It should not be anything more than a 5-minute sketch. And that piece that you did on Fusion was crazy good. And I'm like, it's a sketch that went on for 48 minutes, basically.
Yeah. Long form sketch.
It was a long form sketch, yeah. It was basically just a fake debate hour and then a fake news hour.
Are you talking about the news hour, though?
Yeah, right.
Well, I would say that I will say from writing it together that also for me, and some people won't know this, but like SCTV used to do a lot of these long form things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I have it growing up in Canada. That was what I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great idea to bring back, sort of like not necessarily the news, any of those things. I'm dating myself, by the way. that this idea of why not carry the ball and see if all the things can live in that world.
You know what's really fun to do is watch the other person when one of you goes on a long riff. How that person stays in character silently. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah, I like to say that Bernie is chasing numbers in the sky at all times.
Yeah. I have the easiest. I literally check out because Trump would check out.
Yeah.
So
Tony will turn his profile to the audience. Yes. Like Trump does.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
Trump is not bound to the podium.
No, not at all. You just pull back on the heels and just really shut the eyes.
Well, both of you both of you have this really funny fade out character that fits your own. Where Tony will get into a thing where he's a bad person. He's done, you know what I mean? Like you're like, yeah, that's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, very bad guy, terrible guy, terrible guy. And my favorite is the and, because that's how he gets to the next thought. He goes and then it's like a breath. He's a Tibetan throat monk.
And then James, you do it where Bernie is just it becomes this garbled kind of.
Yeah, that's when I don't know. That's when I run out of things to say. It turns into gibberish.
Yeah, Bernie
running into gibberish, where it'll be like, we're gonna fight to the convention. We're gonna fight to the superdelegates. We're taking the democratic process to the
We've never repeated it, but the very first thing we did at Whiplash, he did one of those trail offs, and then I said to him, and I go, and I want to respond to the last part of his answer. And we've never done it again. I don't know if you can, maybe they just couldn't do it again, but that was my favorite thing.
So the idea of the show didn't really start as like you guys would take it this far. It was a one night thing.
Yeah, it was. I was visiting New York, and Tony's a friend of mine from when I was here. When I used to see you a lot more, Ron.
I know.
And so I was visiting New York last fall, and I was like, "Hey, let's do a thing together." And Tony was smart enough to have his friend film it, so that's what we can blame for all this.
Well, typical comedians too. We've known each other since 2008. He texted me sometime in September, and I probably didn't write back for like a week. Right? He was like, "Hey, let's." I'm doing a Bernie. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get to this," and then I didn't. And then when we coincided at Whiplash, I think we truly believed that maybe we'd get, at least I did, I was like 2,000 views from this video, and it'll be a fun thing that we did, and then we'll go our merry way. And this is,
got a lot of views.
The American story. It truly is the American story.
Well, neither one of these guys should have stayed in the race. These were two guys that we'd all written off. Like, we'll give them a month and a half. But the fact that these are the two guys that everybody's paying attention to, and you just happen to be able to nail the impressions of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sanders versus Trump would be a fantastic election because Bernie would beat Trump. We all know that.
Well,
he's ahead of him.
It would be a street corner fight. It would be two New York guys barking at each other.
It certainly would be the most interesting. I think it would be a blast to watch the two of them.
But it would also be America deciding where their soul is. Like, what is real? This is really black versus white, up versus down.
Yeah.
You couldn't get further apart.
Like a good Jedi and an evil Jedi fighting each other.
Instead, it'll just be black versus sort of gray tan.
And blacker as time goes on.
And blacker as time, just two rotten apples debating.
So you guys have this on the road now. And then what?
Well, we're in New York tonight, tomorrow, and then we're in D.C. And we have some dates in the Mountain States and in California.
I think he means then what, like after the tour, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even think after that. I think.
I mean, well, it'll depend. I still believe this, and I feel like I'm the James whisperer sometimes in the car, where I'm like, I still believe with the polling that's coming out and the way it's turning with Hillary, I don't think you can count Bernie out. I really think there could be a case made at the convention. And so I think regardless, even if Bernie didn't make it in, we might still do a few of these specials because it's still the debate people want. And then who knows? My hope, of course, for me is I'm the only person who does not want job security. I want him out. I do not want it. It's not worth the death of the Western world to be able to do an impression for a little longer.
Now, had you been doing Trump for a while before? No.
I do. So I work at the Upright Citizens Brigade, and I host ASCAT. And we were doing a show in late August, and my friend Miriam Tolan started a scene. She said, Mr. President, and like you said, I thought it would be funny to be Trump because how long would he be around? I did probably a terrible impression at the time, but my friend Shannon O'Neill, the artistic director, said, do a show. So I wrote the show in 7 days, started doing this show where he's already president, doing a press conference. And that was it. I'd never worked on him, never really done him before. So I learned on the job.
Well, you couldn't just carry this on voice alone, though, right?
No.
There's got to be some different level of character work that you get. I don't know whether you guys have seen Bryan Cranston do LBJ, the movie.
Just the preview.
Yeah, the movie, within a couple of minutes, you forget it's Bryan Cranston. That's the thing. You're just watching this character work being done, and you forget it's not an impression at all. You know what I mean? Just somehow it's the essence of it. And I think that's the thing that you guys have to find that essence, but then because it's also got to be comedic at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, actually, is the comedic part.
Yeah.
I think primarily it has to be funny, and it has to be funny like every so often. You have to get a laugh here and a laugh there. You have to keep getting laughs. And I don't personally obsess about the accuracy of an impression. I think you can get very accurate,
right?
But I think you're not going to get much more from watching somebody for a couple of hours.
Right.
There's not much extra you're going to get by watching them for weeks.
Well, these are two people that most people are trying to nail these impressions right now.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that I feel like both of you have tapped into something really unique about each of them.
Right.
And that's how an impression is good. It's not necessarily like, oh, everything's
Perfect.
pinpoint, but it's the memorable impression.
But you know what it is? It always. Do you ever see like John Lennon's cartoon work where he would just make a couple lines and you're like, oh, there's John and Yoko. You know what I mean? And then you look at it and you're like, he did that in like 7 lines.
Right.
You know, that's always the amazing thing. And I think like Dana Carvey always had that where it just would be a slight. You know, and you're like, oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah, take something that's real and exaggerate it and turn it into your original character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, well, I said this just earlier, that like I do see it sort of as an acting job, which is like sort of like a Milos Forman thing or something where you're trying to take them on. But I do think that like an exact copy would actually be Uncanny Valley. And you watch people who, there's a couple, I mean, trust me, like, this is like doing a William Shatner. It's one of the most done impressions is a Trump impression.
Right, for like 20 years.
Right, yeah. It's not even like it's, new. And, so my guess is, it's part like method, like embodiment and sort of, and to me, I see it on the back end, which is like, if I can, have everything modularly available to me, his speech pattern, his body movement, all that stuff available, then I can put it in the spin that I want it to be. And the thing is you want to make yourself almost realer than them.
Right.
You want to be realer than them. You actually want to take them over. So that when someone sees them, they go, that's you.
Right.
That's better because you are taking the icon, you're taking the symbol and you're transforming it. And that changes something. To do, just to purse your lips and, go, you're fired is like, all right, great. A monkey can do that.
That's the other thing. If you're wedded to the lines that the real person says, then you're really it's not a comedic impression. It's more like impersonation, and you can do parties and stuff. Go to corporate events. But like, I feel like I'm interested in the part where I take Bernie Sanders, as I understand him, and then adapt it to some other situation.
Right.
Like, what if Bernie was running for president of the Muppet Show?
Yeah.
And then he would be like, we've got to make sure that the Fraggles could go to school for free at Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. And I would say, I would say it's like Don Rickles. If you really think Trump has a real Don Rickles quality to him. So like, being in the audience and being like, there's China. Look at China over there. China are you squinting or are you asleep? Like that, like you can get away with being this thing that is what he is. He's, so I think both of us sort of get to have that force.
That's one thing I love about Tony's Trump impression that nobody else does, is Tony plays Trump, offensive and racist and misogynist the way he really is, and everyone else is afraid to do that because they're like, well, that's you can't do that on TV or something. And there's a lot you can do on TV. If you come really close to it.
I'm shocked what we've gotten away with on like local Charlotte news and things like that. Like that you can go much further. And
Trump is a dark figure, and the place he lives in verbally and what he talks about is insane and extreme. And Tony taps right into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bernie, I think it's so interesting with James is I always say James has such a tough job. Because one, Bernie is likable, he's smart, he's intelligent, and also I know James and I love him, so it's funny how do you make fun of someone and also emulate them, but not take them apart, right? Like my job, I want to take him apart, right? His is to elevate him, but also point out sort of it's more of like a familial, like a loving
making fun of somebody that I love very much.
Yeah,
it's
wonderful.
It's like a college professor that everybody loves, and then you're like, is that the same suit for 2 months?
Bernie Sanders is like all of America's college professors boiled into one thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite segments from the Loud Box is the student roundtable where he comes in and he says, anyone who gets here Bernie goes, anyone who gets here 5 minutes late?
Yeah. Anyone who's not here now will be marked late. Let's start the class. Did you do the reading? I have office hours in the White House. There will be office hours. The door will always be open.
Yeah. Because you can see that Bernie's on this run, but he's been doing this by himself. Like he probably has been putting in 18-hour days for 40 years.
Yeah, you see the Bernie Sanders T-shirts? I'm the one pressing the T-shirt glue. You see the bumper stickers? That doesn't make itself. I'm rolling them out from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. every day.
And you can see that Bernie really loves the ride that he's gotten. You know what I mean? He enjoys it. Where I saw Trump the other night that said if he's not elected president, this whole thing has been a failure.
A total and complete waste of time. I've never seen someone so absolutely. He goes, a total and complete waste of time. I don't care, Kelly. I don't care.
Running for president.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
amazing.
really great.
Yeah.
It was really great because you meet other people's dads who want them to win too. You know when you were younger and someone's dad act like they failed in Little League? You're like, why are you making a big deal about this? You know? That's Trump with it. Did you win or are you the biggest failure ever?
Yeah, it's total binary. He's black and white. He's black and white. He's a horrifying figure.
I love when he flips back and forth. Like, Chris Christie, this guy's great.
He goes, this guy's great. He eats a lot of candy. He eats a lot of candy. Big guy. I'll tell you something. He's so big, he has an event horizon. I lost 3 months standing next to him. Like a black hole. You don't know when time ends or begins.
So you got him down as Friars Club, Donald Trump.
Yes.
Just hanging around, busting some balls.
Yeah, it's any of those old Dean Martin roasts. That's all Trump is. And he is that. And I will say, to Trump's credit, I have seen some of his rallies because I do watch a lot of them I like to watch a lot of them because he does change and I like seeing him tired and energized and all that. But he did a whole run with the Marco Rubio water thing, which I was like, if he wasn't running for president, he would be funny. He would be legitimately funny. And
Trump is funny.
There are times when you watch him and you're like, oh, I hate this guy. You start laughing because he's doing a funny bit.
Right.
So it's tough. He's a tough cat.
Bernie's funny too, but he's like grumpy funny.
Yeah.
Get off my back. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, what did he say about Hillary? The Hillary
he's like the odd couple or something.
Yeah. Was he when he is like, oh, poor Hillary or so? He said, remember, what was the thing you were telling me the other day?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, they brought something up about Hillary. He's like, he was like, let her do her problems.
Oh, that's right. In an interview, he was like, please do not whine to me about Secretary Clinton's problems. I'm going up against the entire party, the entire apparatus, the establishment. Don't moan to me about Hillary Clinton's problems. It was like so many old people I know.
James Adomian and Anthony Atamanik are in studio. The Trump versus Bernie debate tour 2016 is happening right now. They'll be at the Music Hall of Williamsburg tonight at 7:30 p.m. and at the Bowery Ballroom in Manhattan tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Go to TrumpVersusBernie.com for all additional dates and tickets.
And this is truly one of the craziest things that's ever happened, to be able to do this in real time. The two guys that were on it so early, and just like these two campaigns, it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
Like when you I thought you guys peaked with this about 7 times so far. I'm like, well, that was great.
Yeah.
Well, the I guess the blueprint for this was when I've done a lot of impressions.
Yeah.
Some of them have a shelf life and some of them have a longer shelf life, and I remember when John McCain ran for president in 2008, I did a John McCain impression, and I was fully aware. I was like, well, I've got one summer to do as much John McCain as I want because he's not going to be around for much longer. You did a John McCain, too.
Yeah, that's how we met. I was John McCain right after he got freed from the Vietnam prison.
But yeah, that was that. I remember that time. It got to like the spring, summer of 2008, and I was like, well, nobody's really doing the iconic McCain impression, so I just did it and had fun with it. So this time it came around, and it was like a year ago that Bernie announced he was running for president, and I already knew Bernie and loved him since before he was a senator, even. And I'd always wanted to do a Bernie Sanders impression, but nobody knew who he was, I felt like. And then if you're running for president, I'm like, well, that's enough. I can do it. Everybody has to know who you are. So I started doing it. And it was good because it was like a year and a half out before the election. I was like, I can run this to a comfortable degree. Yeah. And here I am a year later, and I've been doing basically Bernie Sanders the most of the time.
Yeah.
And yet it's no longer in that comedy thing. It's theater now, right? It's theater.
Well, theater. It's rock venues.
Yeah, when you guys go out with this now, it is
theater.
Yeah, it's a show of itself.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
we do 2 hours sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, hour and a half to 2 hours. And yeah, I would say that I think the people in Brooklyn will be standing for a while tonight. But that's good because, in fact, I love the standing crowds. It's amazing to watch people because that's how you really know you're capturing attention. And I think the thing is that the performance is almost, it's like an epic poem that is not written down. Everything we know, and we know some of it verbatim, and other parts we improvise and shuffle around. So that's always new, but we have things that are sort of standards that we do, but they rotate through. And we also rotate material because we probably have 4 hours of material.
That's crazy.
And we rotate it in. And I think that another just thing to put forward, idea to put forward is that we both get across comedic ideas. And of course, it's key to be funny. But also, I like the fact that through that character, at least, and I know through Trump, it's like, I want to really get across through who I'm doing, how I'm doing him, messages that Trump wouldn't say. So like in the Black Lives Matter bit in the live show, I do a detailed discussion of how the country arrived at its wealth, how we took plantations and made them into prisons. But I'm saying it all as Trump and then paying it off with a very sort of, racist thing. But the idea that you can package so many things to an audience and keep them on their toes. What I like is I really feel like both of us keep the audience questioning their sort of solid beliefs so that they walk away going, well, it's not enough just to boo. It's not enough just to be on a side.
Right.
You have to be active. And I think that's something that is getting lost in the 21st century because it wasn't the Million Thumb March, right? It was the Million Man March. Martin Luther King didn't send a tweet from Selma.
It is a raucous show, and it's a very funny and like in a dirty way, but also in like a
filthy. It's a filthy show.
A big belly laugh type show. Yeah. But it's also a show that doesn't let the audience come watch as a passive audience.
That's right.
Where there's a screen between the audience and what's happening on stage. We make them deliberately very uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And Trump makes them uncomfortable and scares them. And I, as Bernie, appeal to them in my own way about, the vision of what can be and what they're settling for.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that's what I studied for theater was always not just wantonly breaking the fourth wall, but in punctuated moments, breaking the fourth wall and making the audience feel something.
We need to build a fourth wall. We need to keep. We're gonna have the Mexicans, the theater techs build it.
I go back to President Roosevelt, who built the first fourth wall as one of the New Deal programs, and I think it put a lot of American theater workers to work. But it was invisible, so you could cross it without papers.
Well, that's the thing is, Bernie is the one who talks about vision and imagining. But Trump is the guy who's almost, remember that book, The Secret, that if you say something and you believe it, it'll manifest itself? That is really true of Trump.
That was a dark book of spells that has unleashed Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my favorite thing about The Secret, though, is I watched the video recently, and I love that this ancient secret that's been lost since the days of Egypt, that what it's basically used for is purchasing low-end property to flip and get a new car. That's what I always love. The Secret, the ancient idea, and it's that for that. I think that it's a complicity, though, which is people, the way we cover politics now is total sports. There's not even, interpretation, political analysis of policy is left to magazines, quarterly periodicals, and printed pieces. You don't see that unless you're watching like Sunday, McLaughlin Group. Right. You're not seeing that. What you're seeing is simply what are the numbers, who's winning, and how amazing it is that they've gotten over on. I mean, with Trump, they constantly say how amazing it is, how he lies and lies and lies, and nobody catches him. And this is the news media. Right. These are the supposed reporters sitting, talking in fascination about how they don't cover the candidate. So you have a snake eating its own tail. This is true insanity. I mean, it's a true, an apex of insanity. We've reached a point in which we're in a funhouse mirror room with no exit. And, I think that's why he's so horrifying, because he just says it and everyone goes, okay. Yeah. And people keep saying, well, when he gets in the White House, what would make him change? What would make him change? This authoritarian fascist streak is going to continue. It's not going to disappear. So it'll be interesting if he does become president.
Well, yeah, we're hoping that he's more of an Eva Peron than a Mussolini.
Yeah.
That's the best we're going to get.
That's right.
James Adomian and Anthony Atamanuik are in studio. The Trump versus Bernie debate tour 2016 is happening right now. They'll be at the Music Hall of Williamsburg tonight at 7:30 p.m. and at the Bowery Ballroom in Manhattan tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Go to TrumpVersusBernie.com for all additional dates and tickets.
When you take the show to DC, the insiders show up. Have you heard back?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, even if I just do stand up in DC, that's who lives there.
Yeah.
So like for years, every time I've gone to the DC, I'm like, well, okay, there's a certain number of CIA people here. There's a certain number of Pentagon people here.
We had Bernie staffers.
Yeah, we've done this. We had Bernie people come. We had very conservative people come. It's DC, but
congressional aides.
Yes. I feel like DC audiences.
Congressional herpes.
I feel like DC audiences they don't mind laughing at themselves. Right. Because it's kind of, to a lot of them, it's kind of a game.
They actually said that the Republicans are better at laughing at themselves than Democrats.
This is true. I will say that overall, the Trump people on the YouTube, on Twitter, I'm shocked at how many people have a good sense of humor. People who come up, especially in the Richmond shows in DC, they come up, hey, I'm going to vote for Trump, but I got to tell you, that was funny. My ultra right wing, a lot of my right wing family members in Boston came and saw the show. Loved it. I was really shocked. And sometimes, and here's why I think conservatives have a little bit of an air of superiority in a sense of like, we got control, right? Yeah. Liberals,
we're not going to lose our money.
Liberals, we're not going to lose our money. Liberals have had Carter, Mondale, Dukakis, Kerry, and now Clinton. We are scared to death. Liberals are frightened that everything will get taken away. So if you make fun of them, they're like, whoa, don't make fun of them because it might stick and we'll lose. That's what I think.
There's a variety of reasons. I think that one of the lasting sort of psychological damages done to the baby boom generation was the back-to-back 1-2 punch of Nixon and Reagan, convincing baby boomers to internalize the idea that the left will never win. And so they believe it, unfortunately. And they think, I'm talking back to them because I always hear old people go, well, you don't know, you weren't there when McGovern ran. I'm like, yeah, well, you're not here. You're not here now. You checked out.
True, but
you live in defeat too much.
But again, I'll say Carter, Mondale, Dukakis. You also have to acknowledge those terrible candidates.
Those three were not the most liberal candidates. Those were the moderates all 3 of those years.
I know, but Dukakis would be to the left of Bernie now. I mean, Nixon would be to the left of Hillary Clinton now. That's what's frightening.
Well, I think what's also interesting with the right is that Obama is the first president, I think, who's been to Vietnam ever. When you think of how many of the right-wing conservative guys got out of that war, going way back.
Yeah.
Including Trump. Trump is another guy who came up with a bad foot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
his hands were too big.
Yeah, but they're all ready to kick ass once they get older.
Oh, of course. Well, there's nothing, what more noble a warrior than one that's never been to war, and they love to get us into it. I mean, I think it's great what he's doing with Obama's decision to allow Vietnam to arm itself, because I think we're underestimating the North Korean peninsula.
Really?
I really do. I think that North Korea is going to be a very dangerous local threat
Speaking
in the
of
next
McLaughlin
10 years.
Group, Anthony Atamanuik, issue number 4.
Now, John Benjamin. I will say I am like a big politico, so I really like the depth of the issues and ideas, that are surrounding what we're doing.
That helps with what we've been doing too, because when we get when something comes up in a show or something else we're doing, both of us follow the news too much.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've had to pull back from reading the news in recent years because it's unhealthy.
Yeah, and we have Howard Feynman, the chief political editor, the chief, I think, editor of the Huffington Post, moderating tonight, and he saw us in New Hampshire doing our debate in Manchester.
Yeah, we were there like the night before the primary, and so all these reporters were up there in Manchester, New Hampshire, and he recognized Howard Feynman at the bar. We were performing in the back room, and Tony goes, "Hey, why don't you come watch the show?" And he did. So now he's
and I think news people do like it, because I think there's a thing too, which they're trapped in this sort of matrix of news for profit and cable news for profit. And I think sometimes they're almost like prisoners going like, you can say what we can't even say. Sure. Which is frightening.
It's but it's kind of like what you were saying before, that I think that they view it more as a game and more of a chess match. Sometimes people on the outside of it tend to be more emotional about it, but it's crazy to listen to them talk about it like they're winning points or not.
The circus is a great example that these guys are just running around, and then the second somebody loses a primary, suddenly Bernie had, 4/5 of his press just stopped following him every day. And then when he won, they came rushing back. Yeah. It's just about who's winning and who's the hot ticket to follow.
Well, when corporatism and capitalism invade everything, right, then there is no reason to do anything for the greater good, right? It's all just who's winning and who's not. And we already know that popular decision-making would mean that people, blacks still couldn't vote in this country. Popular decision-making mean women couldn't vote in this country. I mean, it's crazy to go by the masses. There's a reason Plato and Socrates wrote all that stuff. There's a lot of people who are flotsam and jetsam, and they shouldn't be making decisions.
Yeah.
Sorry. Maybe that's a little Trump of me, but it's true.
No, but it is true that if people go, what about states' rights? And we're like, we had to run tanks down there so somebody could go to school. That's what happened.
For a second, I thought you meant the Civil War.
They had wooden tanks.
Yeah, but no, 1964, 65, Johnson had to send troops in so somebody could go to school.
Yeah.
And you were seeing, even in the late 60s, some of those schools still had, all white basketball teams. You're like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
This is the Beach Boys have already put out Pet Sounds. Why are you still holding on to this fucking
a major civil rights moment?
Pet Sounds.
I thought we've grown up by now.
Yeah, 76, they were stoning buses in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
I was 2 years old. That's how recent this is.
Sure.
But yet we want to pretend that it's completely post-racial and post-gender and all this. That's the other thing, is the great pretending, right? The great pretending that, it's all fixed now. So we sweep it under the rug. And what we've seen is that anyone who grew up, especially in Boston, the suburbs, knows there's a large, strong white supremacy movement in this country. Very strong.
Yeah.
And it's bigger and deeper than anyone. So the surprise by the media, we're shocked by it. You're shocked by it? Just a modicum of research would show you that there was a large swath of people who support this ideology, and they're all getting bolder and bolder.
Unfortunately for a lot of us, I think that this election might be a real comeuppance to the liberal media class in a lot of ways. On one hand, for underestimating Donald Trump,
everybody did,
and I think on the other hand, for feeling icky and disgusted by Bernie Sanders taking them on as a class warrior.
Yeah.
And I think the media class did a lot to downplay Bernie Sanders when he was frankly the best chance that we've had to stop Donald Trump.
But also, where did Bernie Sanders just get the shit kicked out of him? In the South by, Democrats, that he was getting like 18% or whatever. And
did not do well in the South.
In southern states. Right now, as we're talking, Baltimore is, ready to go up in flames again because that verdict came back in today. And that wasn't thought of as, let's say a few years ago, nobody would said, Baltimore, that's overly racist. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, same as growing up outside of Boston. The same exact attitude. We were in the suburbs, and any kind of bus stop. Anytime we had a basketball game, it turned into a fight. And guys and men in my neighborhood would always say to us, "Remember, guys, you got to hold the neighborhood." I'm like, "Well, I'm 12.
Wow.
I don't know how I can hold the neighborhood.
You got to hold. That's
what
right.
we're going to do, I guess we'll do it somehow. Thanks.
Yeah.
See you guys later."
Well, and
so
you see,
it is there.
Well, you see this example of this situation. Tamron Hall was on earlier talking about this, interviewing someone, and the guy was talking about, institutionalized sort of racism in the system. And she said, well, yes, but the prosecutor was black and the mayor is black of Baltimore. And he made this great point, which I think it should also be put forward. It isn't always just about color of skin. It is a combination of class, color, and a variety of factors. And what you're really seeing is presumptions, even by those black police officers, arresting someone from a more lower income area, that it's combinations of factors that are repressing and suppressing people. We can't just go, well, we have a black president, so everyone's fine. That's not how it works. There are a variety of factors, and I grew up in a very poor city called Chelsea, Massachusetts. I remember sitting watching 60 Minutes in 1990, and it's like, coming up next on 60 Minutes, the poorest city in the United States, Chelsea, Massachusetts. We're all like, oh, God. And, it was... didn't matter who you were garbage. And if you said, I came from Chelsea, they go, oh, I'm sorry. And it's like, well, thanks a lot. I like my town.
Well, they're also talking about bringing industry back to this country, and there's no jobs inside industry. If you look at what used to be, a car company and how many people would work in that place and how many people are going to work in car companies now. I don't know where the jobs come from.
There's new industries, thank God, that have helped people scrape by. I mean, I should talk in terms of families. I mean, individual people do well or bad, but I think in terms of families, there's new industries that have helped people. But yes, I think in general, the decimation of the manufacturing sector since 1980 is shocking, and everyone's too poor and reeling from poverty to understand it fully.
Well, it's the conversion rate. Well, our problem is that we look at post-war World War II, and the way that we know that industry reaches a peak is usually through large government buyouts, right? The auto industry, parts manufacturing usually would do military contracts. And of course, the military, when working in sort of a Cold War fashion, would make these major contract buys, which would then lower the rate of production. So we have an opportunity in the country to say, okay, we don't have to even cut. We can convert the Pentagon into a domestic refreshing system. We can put $1 billion, $2 billion, $50 billion into a wind farm, solar reinforcement to get solar panels to be up to over 51% efficiency. This would put people to work, right? The problem is we're in a gap. We're like David Bowman in 2001. He's moving in the vacuum to go shut down Hal. And in that space is where we're at, where we have no old industry. We have no new industry. So we have some new industry, but not on the massive scale that we need. And also we are evolving out of personal manufacturing, individual hand manufacturing of things. This is just a factor, and we're going to have to convert our society. We have this static model because of television and media, believing that this model is static, right? But that's not true. 300 years ago, people were at gas lamps and living in squalor and riding around in horse carriages, and there was a massive caste system. 1,000 years ago, no one read except for priests and monks. 3,000 years ago, they were having orgies with, every gender, age, and whatever, and debating the nature of the stars with large mechanical devices made in the Far East. So you can't look at us as a static system. We're an evolving system, and maybe our market-based economy is going to have to change. And if we keep in this, we're like an alcoholic in denial. We're an addict in denial, sitting at the table, having one more drink, going, why do I have a headache?
Well, it almost like when TV started, whatever the jobs were then, is almost what we expected life was just going to be on. That's when the suburbs started.
Yeah.
Oh, dad works, mom stays home, the kids are great, they're playing. But that was only, like you said, one short thing. And what helped that economy is that we had just bombed Germany and Japan down to where they couldn't make anything,
Yeah.
I think the greatest boon to this country for jobs and national security will be alternative energies.
Yeah.
I think that will put the most people to work, and I think it'll make it so that we don't, not that we need to get involved in these wars in the first place, but so that there's no excuse to be involved in these energy wars.
Well, we would be paying as much attention to Saudi Arabia as we do Bolivia. You know what I mean? Like, they have problems, they're like, whatever. That's those fucking
There's
people.
a great documentary by Adam Curtis called Bitter Lake. And you want to really know about our attachment to the petrodollar and how the Saudis got us by the balls. That documentary explains all of it, including how poppy production and therefore heroin came out of Afghanistan was a failed attempt by the Roosevelt administration to build a dam in Afghanistan, which salinated the land and then made it ripe for poppy production. So there's also not necessarily conspiracies, but well-intentioned things that end up going awry. But I don't want to sound like Trump, but it is kind of true. It's like, where are our big ideas? Where are our global big ideas? What are we building towards as a global community, as a planet?
Well, we have the smartest people that we have working on apps right now.
I know.
On how you can date somebody.
Yeah.
Instead of sending people to Mars. And I mean, you talk about
We've also got a lot of smart people seeing how they can squeeze people's pensions and make sure that they don't have any money in their accounts.
Yeah.
It's small time, man. It's a small time world right now, and we're like the high school jock. The United States is like the high school jock who is about 40, 50 pounds. He's barrel chested like Steve Reeves before he blew his brains out, and the Superman, just so you, the original Superman, and he's walking around talking about his trophy from high school, and how long can we do that? We're riding on 70 years of infrastructure. We are cruising on our grandparents' and parents' work.
Right.
And complaining about it.
And bitching about it. What's also great, too, is look at any kind of movies and stuff from 50, 60 years ago and see how few cars were going over those bridges and highways then compared to now. You know what I mean? Like, we've really beat the hell out of that shit, too.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think Bernie and Trump actually are on the same page on that.
They are.
They are.
That is my favorite.
Reinvestment in infrastructure.
I love, he's like, LaGuardia is garbage. LaGuardia is disgusting. What a disgusting airport. We need to, China has trains that run 5,000 miles an hour. You go back in time when you ride them.
Well, guys, once again, congratulations for taking this thing and running with it, man.
You.
It's really been fun to watch, and Lord knows where it's going to end up. Maybe one of you will be in the White House. That's what I'm hoping.
I think that's a pretty good chance.
Let's do it. Well, I'll be rendition somewhere to Cuba, I think.
James Adomian and Anthony Atamanuik have been in studio. The Trump versus Bernie debate tour 2016 is happening right now. They'll be at the Music Hall of Williamsburg tonight at 7:30 p.m. and at the Bowery Ballroom in Manhattan tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Go to TrumpVersusBernie.com for all additional dates and tickets.
Thanks, boys. We'll see you next time coming through.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, buddies. Bennington Show. How do you like those guys? It's such a tremendously funny bit that they're running.
They're so funny, and their impressions are hilarious, and they're just like a lot of fun to hang out with.
I've known James Adomian for a while, and the physicality of his impressions when you're close can literally take you back. But you just hear it in his regular speaking voice that there's almost like two voices in there on a regular.
Yeah.
time. It's phenomenal.
And you can see how close they are to these characters. Like, they've been doing it so
the
much
10%
now.
of the 1%, the 1% of the 10%, we're going to take that over. That's the fucking thing that gets to me. Both of them have the best fade out lines.
Yeah.
This is not a good guy. I don't like him very much. He's not good. He's a bad guy.
I love that. He eats a lot of candy. I love that.
He's a candy eater, this one. And then the other thing is they'll have like women asking them questions, and Trump is always like this. Go ahead, sweetheart. What do you want to say? Move it right up. You're so cute. Look at her. She's really, really. And it's like a reporter who's getting mad at him, and he just never gives a fuck. He just keeps, talking about her looks. Bump, bump, ba 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 bump, bump, bump. I'm more and more convinced Trump's going to win, though.
Yeah,
we were the first ones to call it in the country. If you remember, opening day, we got to Trump. I mean, that was really Joey Jojo coming on into his own.
Yeah, I mean, we jumped right on the Trump train.
We jumped to Trump.
We jumped to Trump immediately. And little did we know. It will be
a total waste of time. Total, absolute waste of time if I don't win. It'll be dog shit to me. Trump, fascinating guy. You're going to see 1 million movies done about his life now. 1 million.
Yeah.
And I really believe it's The Secret. He is the fucking secret.
He's living the dream. He says
it. He believes it. And then other people start to believe it. And it's amazing. We're in such a lull with him too, because he doesn't have to run hard now. We forget it's all going to really start up again in August. And in August, it's going to be fucking madness, brother against brother, people running around with bayonets. It's going to be fucking, the excitement level is going to be through the roof.
It is really weird, though, how, just not too long ago, we were talking that we felt like Cruz was going to take it to the convention. And now everybody is saying that about Bernie, that they think that it's going to be that.
Well, everybody keeps, first of all, the whole system's fucked, both sides. The voting system's screwed. And then, is the FBI going to do anything with Hillary?
Yeah, I mean, it could honestly happen without any warning. So there would be
which would really be screwed up for all the millions of people who did vote for her.
Right, exactly. The thing.
Like, you guys could have done this in a week. You do it for everybody else. Every time you pick up Chris, you got a fucking case against him within 12 hours. Be on the phone with Chris.
The security desk downstairs. There's a problem with one of our guests.
Why? What's the problem?
I believe there's an ID problem, so I'm working it out right now.
Which one of our guests?
I'm finding out.
Thank you.
He's on it.
Yeah. Because should you go downstairs and use your ID? Because a lot of times they'll say if you vouch for them.
Right.
Because let's face it, we're not a place that security has to worry about. And we could actually let people in off the streets here.
Yeah.
They could sleep on the floor here like they did in Abe Lincoln's White House, where any homeless person could go in and just lay on the floor. All right, what was big over the weekend that we were talking about on the iBang? What were those big stories?
Well, there was that the Pornhub creates a sexercise app. I know that was big on the iBang this weekend. So this is an app that, just like the step counter.
Yeah, it's called Bang Fit, and it tracks how many calories you burn while you have sex in certain positions.
So then,
why would you want anybody else to know that? Why would you want to go on the grid with how often you're having sex?
I don't think that. Is it a shareable app?
It's like an actual fitness app for sex. So like much like you have your health app on your iPhone that tracks your
You have
steps.
to put it between your ass cheeks.
Right.
That tells when you're going back and forth. Now, here's the deal. Even though there's the Pornhub, and you can go to the Pornhub and see any kind of porn you want. You just type in, I want to see 2 Italian guys with a Chinese girl, and boom, it'll pop up like it's IMDb.
Yeah.
You could say, I want to see somebody who thought they were having sex and then had an unbelievable bathroom accident. Boom. They'll show it to you. And yet, everybody is racing over to the iBank today to see a slight nip slip with Mariah Carey. That I didn't even see it.
No.
Joe put the story up, And I think that you'd have to sit there and just really look almost like the wall, which Chris still hasn't figured out yet, where what the rest of us were looking at.
No idea.
But that nip slip, if you would have just said, look at this picture, what's weird about it? I don't know how long it would take me to find the nip slip.
It would take me forever because it isn't really a full nip slip. It's a bit of an areola slip, but I wouldn't call that a full nip.
Right. And so until you get what? The button? Is that where you got to go? You got to go straight button?
I feel like for an official slip.
Yeah.
I mean, this is maybe just like a slight nip faux pas, but it's
all
not.
Right, let me go to Chris on this because he pays attention. Is that a nip slip or not enough to be nip?
That's enough for me for a nip slip. That's a nip slip.
Gail said she needs, woman coming out of a pool, full tit out.
Yeah.
Oh, nip slip. You're saying just the slightest.
Because this is a slip. That's like a titty popping out when you see a whole breast.
That's not, you just made up that term.
No.
That's not a real term. People would call that a slip.
This is an areola slip. This is not the full nip.
But no one wants to say areola. I mean, that takes too much time.
It's not fun.
And then every time you do say areola, you think to yourself, did I say that right? You know what I mean? Like never, that is a word that doesn't sound like a correct word.
Believe me, I questioned myself as I was saying it.
So if just the slightest bit is a nip slip deal, let's go to Joe who brought in the story. And in my opinion, should have final, decision making.
This is his nip story.
I think the areola is a part of the nipple. Therefore, yes, it is technically a nip slip.
But partial nip?
Partial nip, but still nip slip.
But you didn't write up partial in your headline.
No, I wrote nip slip.
I stand by this nip slip.
Was that a song? Right, Janice is calling us. She broke up with her friend. Let's get to the bottom of it. Is this another White Sox Cubs thing, Janice?
No, actually, surprisingly, it was. I never listened to my mother-in-law. Don't talk politics. And I was talking about the Seth Meyers thing that he did last year where Trump was in the audience and everybody was making a joke about, oh, yeah, we'll have Trump run for president.
Right.
And I was talking to my buddy, and he goes, thank God for that. And I burst out laughing. I thought he was kidding, but he wasn't.
So that was it?
Yeah, and he hasn't talked to me since. And
you think we'll be friends after the election?
I don't know. It just surprised me that, and then he'd say, and then he just went on like, to me it was a racist tirade where I just don't get it.
Oh, I thought that was going to mean then we were back on the same page.
Oh,
Now, Joe, could you lose a friend over political?
Yeah, I think
you
I could. Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
I let bygones be bygones with politics. I'll respect that person's.
But what if they're really dumb about it? You know what I mean? Like, what if they'll pick the other way, but not for reasons that seem well thought out?
That would be sad.
Like, I have plenty of people that I disagree with on, but it shouldn't be about people. It should be about issues, and then you discuss the issues. But one thing I can't stand is like anybody who would say like, get that liberal or conservative asshole off. I'm like, well, this is probably not even a fucking show for you because I have conservative friends and I have liberal friends.
Right. And I also think it's good to have the kind of friends that you could debate an issue on.
Right.
But if their sensibilities are just completely out, that's something different. I think it's healthy to have people who have different political opinions than you in conversation with you.
Well, for me, if they can still make me laugh, you know what I mean,
Right.
then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, he was one of our groomsmen, so I mean, it's been
Right.
a long time friendship where I like,
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I would not know anyone that I grew up with or... Look, I can't even let racial things stop friendships for family because where I come from, people tend to be somewhat racist. And I'm just like...
all my cousins are like that, too.
Right. And Chris, I mean, I have to accept Chris.
Sure.
And he and Bronx Johnny are the biggest racists I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
Bronx Johnny started an organizations called Ecuadorians for the KKK, and I'm like, they don't even want you,
They
Johnny.
won't let you in.
Is he from Ecuador? Is that where he's from?
Ecuador. He's part of the EKKK. Yeah.
I guess that's oddly progressive.
By the way, I try to say that I don't think prejudice would that still mean that you wouldn't want to go to Brazil for this because it looks fucking crazy. Is that prejudice or like, hey, you're paying attention?
That's just that's a good idea.
I mean, is it prejudice not to go into what would be known as a bad neighborhood where you could be jumped? Or is that common sense?
That might be street smarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people think street smarts goes right into politics. They feel the same way. All right, Janice. All right, go Cubs, Sonny. Best of luck to you.
Woo-hoo. Love you.
Ooh, all right. The friendly confines of Wrigley Field. No other ballpark is called the friendly confines. Just Wrigley Field. I don't know what's so friendly or why they're in the confines.
What's the confines?
I don't know. I guess inside of something is a confine. Am I right about that?
I think that's right.
Yeah. But no one ever says the friendly confines of Citizens Bank Park.
It's propaganda, is what they're doing.
It isn't propaganda. You're fucking trying to jump in, so you came up with a word. There's no propaganda against it.
Ron, what I think? Propaganda.
That's Big Brother trying to fucking rewire your shit.
It's war and information.
Sarah, Indiana. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I don't know, honey. I got my own problems.
I was just going to comment on the losing friends over political stuff. Actually, it's my family member, my stepsister, is voting for Trump.
So why would you stop being,
Well, it's not like I'm going to stop talking to her, but just her take on it is that whole paranoid stance, like, oh, the immigrants are coming in and going to ruin our country. She listens to, like, people like Alex Jones, for example.
But see, here's the deal. Why do you think people are paranoid? Where does that fear come from? That would be the place to start.
I have no idea. And this is the thing. Her daughter is half Mexican. Like,
half.
How are you going to vote for Trump, who wants to, block all these immigrants from coming over and having a better life when your daughter is a product of an immigrant.
But see, maybe what she's saying is, I don't want to have to keep fucking more Mexicans, Maybe that's her thing. She's got to say, like, I can't stop myself. I need, it's like when somebody say, honey, don't buy ice cream. Once it's here, I'm going to eat it. That's how Mexicans
Just keep it
are.
out.
Yeah.
Get it away from
thought of it like that.
Don't stop by 16 handles. I'm going to go in there and at least take one of the handles. Now, but see, I love to find out why people started to think the way that they are. And very, very often it's based on just a couple things, One of my favorite things that people do is they're going out west and you're like, are you going horseback riding? They'll be like, no. Me and horses do not get along. Horses do not like me. And then you're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, once when I was 3, they put me on a pony. The pony started to go too fast and I was falling off. And you're like, but that's not every fucking horse. And you're no longer 3, right? But that fucking thing is in their mind.
Right.
Horses don't like me.
Yeah.
I've been through this once, so I fucking know.
And sometimes it's not even going off of your own personal experience. Like, I know sometimes it can go off of a personal experience, but other times you're like, some experience my uncle had.
Yeah. I saw a movie. Guy got thrown from a horse. And I said to myself, I'm never going to get on a fucking horse again. Isn't it fun? Like, I mean, at one point, everybody had to get on horses. It wasn't something that people thought about.
Oh, yeah. You could not have, like, a fear of horses.
No.
Or heights, come to think of it.
Why, what was the height?
It's just like if you were, like, high up on the horse.
Oh, okay.
Some people get a little nervous
That
how
is
high
kind of
up
high. You are kind of higher than you expect to be sitting. I mean, you're like if a lifeguard stand started to run fast.
Right, exactly. And could be out of control at any moment.
And, I wanted to get into jockeys, but I don't have time, Chris. We're not breaking, right? We're bringing them in?
Yeah, we're bringing them in. We're not breaking.
By the way, I told Vito when he brought our last guest over, I said, go over to Chris so he can scream at you. Did you indeed scream? Did he tell you that?
Oh yeah, he did. And then before he even told me that, I
But he did tell you.
It was loud.
I said, make sure you tell Chris to scream at you.
That's nice that you guys have that rapport, though.
Who?
Like you and Chris, that you can say.
Oh no, because I could see that Chris knew that he had fucked up. Vito doesn't take the bringing the guest thing in too seriously. We're not going to break again, right? We'll break at 2:30.
Yeah, we'll break at 2:30.
So let's bring in Amy Miller. And how did that thing work out with the security?
Everything got taken care of. Everything was beautiful and smooth afterwards.
Beautiful and smooth.
I took care of it.
Smoothly beautiful.
Amy Miller and Noah Garnswartz are coming in studio. Amy's performing at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival in Portland, Oregon, June 1st through the 5th. Go to amymillercomedy.com for more information. And Noah's performing at Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, Thursday, May 26th through Saturday, May 28th. You go to noahgcomedy.com for more information. On Twitter, it's at Amy Miller and at Noah G Comedy.
See you. Hi.
Take care.
Adam, nice to see you. Adam, you just got a half-hour comedy hour, somebody said?
Yeah, I'm shooting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Where are you doing it at?
We're shooting in New Orleans. I'm shooting June 4th, so it's coming up.
That's funny, because New Orleans is always a city without a comedy club.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I actually didn't know. I've never performed comedy in New Orleans.
I don't think most people have. I think you're like, and then I'll book New Orleans, and you're like, but no, I can't.
They seem like they would have a comedy scene, though.
They have
Like
a scene. They have shows and like a
they have
festival.
shows, but
And there are a bunch of good comedians up in New York that started in New Orleans, so they definitely have, like a comedy background.
Sean Patton.
Well, New Orleans is one
Mark
of those,
Normand.
one of those towns where people are natural storytellers, like you should have been here last night type places.
Yeah.
And that's always like a giant jump ahead to be able to work in comedy. Amy, Gail was saying that you have an app that you're crazy about.
What is this?
Your dog app that I was bragging about.
I'm crazy about it.
I want to hear this.
Listen, there's this app. They're not paying me or anything.
No, if they are, it's okay.
It's called Bark and Borrow, and basically, like, if you don't have a lifestyle that could really support a dog full time, which I don't, you can just borrow people's dogs, and it's like a Tinder. Like, you just you go through all their profiles and see their little faces, and then you contact the owner, and then they just let you. Well, I was telling Gail I have mixed feelings because I want a little dog fix, but I don't trust these people who just lend their dog out.
I could never do that. Just be like,
lend out Bernie for an hour?
Just like go hang out with
Bernie wouldn't do it either, though.
No.
You're
well,
afraid.
first of all, she'd have to exercise. She'd have to go out.
Yeah,
she probably wouldn't
someone
enjoy.
will fat shame her.
Well, here's the thing with Bertie. Bertie glares at me when you drop her off with me, and I'm like, guess what, Bertie? This wasn't my idea. You know what I mean? Like, if you think like, oh, I hope I can sit with a dog all weekend that doesn't bark and only pays attention to me if I walk into the kitchen. No, I was looking for that. So, but what do you think these people are up to that want to?
I don't know, because you don't even get money for it. I mean, I think they're just trying to spread the message of dogs.
That's the message.
Yeah.
The message of dogs.
Just dog enthusiasts.
They're therapeutic, But I have to imagine that it's also like the craziest people borrowing these dogs, like me, where you're just like, I'm so depressed. What if I could just have a dog for 2 days?
Does a dog make you feel better?
Oh, yeah, always. Yeah. You don't feel that way?
There was a service dog up here the other day. Did you see it?
Yes.
It was when we did Weird Al, and it was frighteningly big.
What kind of dog was it?
I never saw a dog like this before in my life.
Dire wolf is my guess.
Oh.
It was it was like the biggest dog I have ever seen. First of all, it's the biggest service dog. I didn't think this could, what could you do?
Yeah, it didn't do anything. Like, I've seen service dogs help people that they're trained to do stuff, but was like, funny as one of the bosses, I'm not saying, he was walking down the hall. He's like, what is a dog doing here? What's this dog doing in the hall? And they said, this is a service dog. And then he turned around to the lady and acted like she was special needs. Like, hey, you got your dog here, right?
and you were labeled to bring a dog in. There's no lawsuit for you. You want a taffy? And it was really embarrassing.
That's all fair for how many meals she's probably ruined for other people bringing that giant dog in New York City restaurants.
Because that's one of the things is, I think that technically you can ask for their little ID card, but the thing that is illegal in New York City anyways, and I don't know where in other places, you cannot say, what is the service that this dog provides?
Yeah, you can't say what's wrong with you. What do you have?
Oh yeah, you couldn't say,
yeah, that would be mine.
So, just general light depression.
I watched this thing on YouTube where people who self-hit or whatever that would be called, the dog will get up and stop them from doing it.
Yeah,
the dog starts to put their head underneath their arm and stuff until they hold the dog. And it was absolutely the sweetest thing I ever saw in my life.
I bawled when I saw this video because it was like I believe she's an autistic girl and she's getting overwhelmed, and so when she gets overwhelmed, she starts like hit herself, and then the dog like jumps up on her, sits her down, like calms her down.
For that dog.
It's the sweetest story I've ever heard.
It's so sweet.
I'm going to get one to knock cigars out of my hand. I'm like, hey, 2 puffs.
You should quit.
I was just licking my face as I'm trying to, sucking on the end of the lighter.
It just seems like a lot of responsibility for this.
I know, for something that's really not that big of a deal. But did you find the one with the... I don't know where we...
Do you have a name for the app?
Right now.
It's called Bark and Borrow.
Oh, Bark and Borrow.
No, this already exists. I'm not inventing it.
Yes.
This is real. This is a real
this is
app
just something you're excited about?
Yeah.
We thought you invented it, Amy.
Do you have any idea what the history is of psychopaths stealing a dog they were supposed to borrow?
Oh, God,
I don't know, but that would freak me out.
Yeah, I wonder how they guard against it.
Some people put their actual puppies up, too. Like, they'll be like, Roscoe is 2 months old. I'm like, you're already trying to give him away to strangers?
I want to do this with babies where somebody could just come in.
I would do that, too, for sure.
Well, I would do a thing like before people want to buy eggs, I'd like them just have a baby with you for 24 hours to see if you don't end up dropping it or, before you commit to getting eggs for yourself.
I think it happened.
Yes.
It's called being a nanny. I've done it, and you can get paid. And remember, you don't want children. It's a twofer.
Amy, when are you leaving New York? When you
I leave Wednesday.
Wow.
I know. It flew right by.
Yeah, it went quick. Did you enjoy your time
I
in the
did.
city?
I had a lot of fun, and I'll be back a lot. I mean, I think it'll be smart to come back out as much as I can, Be bi-coastal a little bit.
A lot of girls go through that stage, they're just...
35.
Right after college. The bi-coastal phase.
Waiting for that phase to end.
Yeah, I got some good stuff lined up and paid club gigs, which I hear takes people a long time, but I did it in 3 weeks.
Is that right?
So I'll be back. Yeah.
Now, you are driving across the country?
Yeah, I'm going to do it one more time.
No, which way are you driving? How
I'm going to go the southern way, like on 80.
Let's get a map up, because I get very excited about planning trips.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
So I came out on 90,
right?
And then and you can go back on 80 to get to Oregon. So I think I want to see some different stuff because I already saw the other stuff. Was not impressed.
You weren't impressed with the United States of America?
It's meh.
There's a lot of weird white people out there.
Now, Joe, can you get that program from Vacation where we can see her little car and then
and then we'll
little Pac-Man comes up?
So you're going 80 through Pennsylvania, Ohio. See, I consider the southern if you would go down and go through like Texas or whatever.
Well, that would be too because I'm trying to get up to Oregon, so that would be.
That's too far out of your way.
It's the one that goes through Nebraska instead of up through the Dakotas.
You think that's going to be more impressive?
No, I heard it's the more boring route for sure.
I-80.
Yes.
80 West.
80.
I mean, you could actually leave New York, you get on 80 fairly quickly, and take that, I believe, right into San Francisco without making a right or a left.
Yeah, it
trip.
ends in San Francisco. That's true.
Yeah. So how long would it take you, New York to, where are you going, Portland?
Mm-hmm.
How many days are you going to do that in?
I'm going to try to do it in 5 days.
Wow.
No way. I'm saying no right now. No way.
You're saying no?
No way.
What do you think?
7.
7?
Yeah, I'm giving her 2 extra days.
Yeah.
She's going to find a thrift shop, an
Right.
antique store.
I'm not 65 years old, Noah.
But that is the way to travel. Get off the road a little bit.
I do, but I find a bar.
Okay,
and then I
that's sad, though.
But if I had a dog with me, it'd be great. Like an adventure.
Yeah. Now, going across, have any of you guys ever driven across the country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's your place to stop? What's the must-see place that she's got to go?
I think you need to see the Gateway Arch once.
Wow,
Okay.
St. Louis.
Interesting. Well, that 80 wouldn't go through that, would it?
No.
Okay, well, I'm not going out of my way to see this arch.
You've been to McDonald's before. You know what an arch looks
It's like pretty much that, but not as delicious.
And you can't get a burger.
Yeah, you can't. And I tried. I always pull up next to the arch.
That's his joke.
Yeah, that's my joke. Hey, I understand there's a giant cheeseburger.
They really love him there.
Yeah. Chris, is there something that you'd want to see in the middle of the country?
I like to see the deserts just to drive through them because I've never been to a desert before. I think that'd be awesome.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've never been to a desert.
Well,
It is beautiful.
80 will take you through what's that? The Salt Flats, which is very salty and extremely flat. So they call it the Salt Flats.
When you go through Zion National Park, I
Right.
think, too, which is gorgeous. But I've seen it.
You're already jaded.
You can only see so much beauty. This would be like men saying, "I've had sex before, but thank you." You know, it's just
enough.
Yes, plenty of it. I think our national parks is one of the few things that Americans can be extremely proud of.
I've never been to Joshua Tree National Park, and I would really like.
Oh,
to do that.
it's gorgeous.
Gotta do peyote there. You got to.
That's what I hear. It's really big there.
I opened up a little peyote stand right on the outside. How many buttons? And the kids? Button? Everybody?
That's crazy. That doesn't even look like that's
beautiful.
the same planet.
That's a different.
That looks
trippy
like
planet.
Uluru.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that I'm on a schedule. It sucks when you have to get to the other side and you can't
No,
stay
you're
and
right.
enjoy it.
Right.
You know.
Because I like the cheesy Americana stuff. You know what I mean? I like if somebody has that, giant ball of string, I'm like,
Oh, yeah, big Paul Bunyan statue
Yeah.
or Blue
Yeah.
Ox. And I went to Wall Drug, all that stuff.
Wall drug. You feel like, hey, I'm going to get off and make fun of it, but you're like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, and then you buy a bunch of stuff. I guess you were right.
You know a city that has a lot of that? Toledo, Ohio.
Is that right?
Was surprisingly entertaining for how it was like awful in a great way.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, they have like a 3-block long antique shop with all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so you were projecting, is what was happening.
I was basically, yeah.
You want me to go antiquing on the way.
Absolutely.
You want me to pick you up like a nice armoire or something. I'm on it. I got an empty car, a lot of room to
You're
cram
doing it
stuff
by,
in.
are you doing it by yourself, the drive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I came out here by myself, too.
Wow.
I like to be alone.
Why don't you just pick up hitchhikers the whole way and just say, just roll the dice.
What's a little
Do a bark and borrow app for hitchhikers.
I wanted to do the dog, because there's also a service where you can drive people's dogs across the country for them. I've been researching all the dog borrowing options.
There are way too many apps for careless dog owners.
I know. Well, that one's actually okay, because like if you're moving, coast to coast and you don't want to fly your dog out, then you just pay someone who's already driving to take the dog.
Now, Chris, here's what we'll do. Chris will ride with you, and then he'll fly back. But he's never gotten a driver's license since he lives in Manhattan. So you'll have to do all the driving.
Yeah.
I drove across the country with a buddy before, where the second that he wasn't driving, he was asleep. I was like, I was awake for most of your fucking time.
That's so shitty.
And then the second he would move over, he would just be passed out. And I mean for like 8-10 hours.
That's me.
He could just, and then he would wake up and he would always be like, shit, I thought we'd be further away, 500 miles. I would just be like, fuck you, man, seriously, fucking kill you in this car. It takes me no time till I want to kill the other person in the car with me.
Was he a snorer?
No, well, what he was, I want to put the We were both drug addicts. So I think he was taking pills to help himself move along.
It was
that
a
way.
hard nap.
Yeah, it was a deep, deep nap.
He earned that sleep.
Yeah. And what I kept doing is just trying to put the window up on him and stuff and turn the air off and just make it hotter and sweater for his sleep time.
He didn't care.
No, he didn't give
just
a shit
sweat
at all.
through it.
I love that you were willing to suffer through the bad temperature just to spite him in his sleep.
No problem at all.
I respect
No
that.
problem at all with that. One time we were literally in the Rockies, you know, when you're riding there and suddenly you're up, and I was sleeping a little bit, and I wake up just to see him hitting on a hash pipe as we're going around the bend. I'm like, I'm going to stay awake for a while, dude. I'll fucking light that for you.
It is good to have a co-captain or co-pilot just to help with, you know, unwrapping your burrito and stuff. But otherwise, I don't want anybody in there, really.
You would rather be alone.
Yeah, well, it depends on what's going on. I knew I was coming to New York, and it was going to be just people every day and crazy, and shows. And so I was like, yeah, I need some recharge time is what I need. I'm kind of a loner.
Alone time.
I was preparing for a month of being social.
Do you sing in the car? Do you...
Get out of town. Of course I do.
Yeah.
I all the way sing, like, I was always in choruses before comedy killed it, classical soprano, so I'll even put on, like, pieces like Mozart that I know and just wail.
Oh, God. I want to put a GoPro camera in this car so much.
I'll scope my drive back.
I would love that.
You should. You absolutely should. A lot of weird stuff goes on.
Do you talk to yourself?
I talk to myself, I'll, like, go through my act and, you know, there's just weird things. Masturbation sometimes happens. And,
while you're driving?
Oh,
or you pull over?
While I'm driving.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks, Noah.
That's impressive.
You ever tried this?
No, not
I
while
bet Chris
I've
has-
had
Chris
to pull
doesn't
over and
drive.
get something done. Never while I was
Jack the
driving.
passenger seat, though.
Oh,
God.
So that would be a great trip with the two of you.
Mutual masturbation across America.
She's just like, oh, God, I should have got that dog app.
Now, do you fantasize while you're driving and masturbating?
No, not really.
It's just the actual
kinda
touch.
Yeah, it wakes me up, just get it over with.
I don't think men have... No, I don't think men have the ability to masturbate without at least a fantasy, if not viewing something. I don't think just the touch.
Yeah, I think
self-touch does it for men.
For men, though, they're very visual, so that could be a problem in the car.
Well,
yes.
I feel like you would have to be like,
Yeah.
You can't be watching a movie while you're driving.
I don't think I've been able to masturbate without porn since like 2003.
Noah, what about your girlfriend?
I'm still allowed to masturbate.
Yeah, but you don't think about her?
Absolutely not. Who masturbates to the thought of what they actually sleep with?
My boyfriend.
Oh, my wife. And she's doing the bills right now. But do you almost consider that cheating if someone fantasizes?
No, of course not. Not at all. Anything that'll keep you from actually cheating is great.
The actual physical part of cheating is because I know some women who don't think that their man needs porn. Who'd be like, why would you when you're, in a fabulous situation like this?
I had a friend come to me like, okay, I need to tell you something. And then it was just like that she caught her boyfriend watching porn. And I was like, I thought you were going to tell me something really bad, dude. Like, what?
She was so upset about it?
She was just like really hurt and felt really insecure. And I was like, yeah, I don't know why you...
I don't look like them.
I don't know why you feel that way. And then I had to be like, I know this is going to sound more painful, but like every boyfriend that you've ever had has done this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like there's nothing wrong with him.
Your priest too.
like this has been across the board.
Yeah.
Every dude you've ever dated. So you
your brothers, your dad, your uncles.
And then Chris actually goes for that weird porn that's in the dark internet, which I don't even know how you find.
Yeah, so you got to use like a Tor browser. This is the deep web where it's not like the regular internet. It's that deep, weird internet
Yeah,
hentai.
Don't go there, please.
What's different about the porn in there?
Yeah, there's no shortage of dark porns on regular accessible sites.
His ends in snuff. It ends with a murder.
Jesus.
It's happened before. But also, everyday hentai and, all that good stuff is good. That's fun. Tentacle porn.
You don't have to go deep for that, do you? For hentai?
Good stuff.
I've never
Seems
searched
like
it.
I've never thought that I need to go to a deeper, darker internet. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I've heard that there are more actually dark web websites than there are regular websites. So I've heard that's actually bigger than the regular internet.
Yeah, he's heard.
Yeah, right. He lives under there, buying heroin with bitcoins.
What could possibly go wrong?
And just jerking it to murder.
Yeah, isn't that disgusting?
Ew.
That's horrific.
I don't like that.
Amy Miller and Noah Garnsworth are in studio.
Now you're doing the announcement.
Don't throw us under your little dark web bus.
Amy's performing at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival in Portland, Oregon, June 1st to the 5th. Go to amymillercomedy.com for more information. And Noah's performing at Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, Thursday, May 26th through Saturday, May 28th. Go to noahgcomedy.com for more information. And on Twitter, it's at Amy Miller and at Noah G Comedy.
See, Saratoga always has a place. If I'm even close to it, I go to that barbecue place there.
Oh, let me know. I've never been. Please tell me where I need
What's
to be.
the name of it, Chris?
PJ's.
Now, I gave Chris this. It's actually grown in the last couple of years. It was little, like about 8 years ago. And every year I go back now, it's larger and larger.
Yeah, it's huge.
But so Chris goes up. He takes what he calls horse vacation. So he's at the track every day. And he was going, I said, oh, if you're up there, here's a place to go for barbecue. It's good. He started going twice a day.
Yeah.
For 8 days.
It was fucking great.
How can you eat 16 barbecue meals?
I want to make sure I get all the entire, I want to get all of the
barbecue.
All of it. I want everything on the menu.
Barbecue.
You can't do that in one sitting, Ron. You got to parcel that out. It's a great place.
I'll say this, when you die, no one will mourn you. I'm willing to believe that.
Must have been so stopped up after all that meat.
That's fine.
He's been stopped up since the 6th grade.
Par for the course.
He could use it, though. A little break.
Oh, that shirt?
From the regular schedule.
Yeah, don't worry. There's illness. He's, the Hep C keeps him fairly.
Plays the skin tone.
Yeah. That was bloody, huh?
God.
It's just got so gross.
Yeah, it got ugly quick, didn't it?
I feel like
it got
I'm
ugly
responsible
quick.
somehow.
You are. But is Portland excited about seeing you coming back? Because they must miss you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think the right people are, Ron.
Okay, just the right people.
Yeah, no, that festival is really fun, and Noah's done it. It's, I think, the best comedy festival in the country. Don't you think that?
It's definitely one of them. Yeah.
What do you like?
I think High Plains in Denver,
well, I
but I'm
haven't
from
done that
Denver,
yet.
so I'm partial to that one. And they're very similar. Bridgetown, High Plains kind of took off from what Bridgetown was doing. They're kind of like sister festivals, so it makes sense that the two of them would be.
This will be my
among the
first
best.
year doing High Plains. I'm excited.
Yeah, the Denver scene is pretty cool right now, right?
Yeah, they've over the last few years, it's really exploded. They got a lot of good comedians and a lot of great shows.
Those Grawlix guys really took off.
Yeah, they did. Huh?
What's funny, though, is everyone assumes that Denver's a great comedy location because of the weed, but it's actually, when you get too high of an audience, those are the bad shows in Denver. It's actually like
staring at you.
Yeah, they smile, but they don't laugh.
Or they laugh.
They're enjoying themselves. You just don't know it.
Or they laugh 30 seconds late, and you're going, what is... Oh, yeah, I'm in Portland. Or I'm in
Just
Denver.
sitting like, look at that dude.
Yeah,
talking. You're like, this isn't comedy. What you're doing back. It's a give and take.
Well, it's rough on the comics, too, because did you hear about the Lucas brothers?
I was on that show.
Oh, that's right. You should tell them.
I went out to do a big 420 show in Denver, as you can imagine. So there were 5 or 6 comedians on the bill, and everyone was very excited. It was a theater show, about 250 people there. And the headliners ate some edibles before the show and got too high and asked to go back to their hotel and take a nap before their set and just never showed up again. And we all had to do more time because they got too high off the Denver edibles.
But they didn't stay asleep? Like, it's the Lucas brothers or twins, and one of them was like, I need a cheeseburger. So the other twin went wandering the streets, and his account was that he never found a cheeseburger. He didn't even know where to start looking. He was so fucked up, and they just never came to the show.
Michelle, I will give a lot of credit to Billy Wayne Davis, who's a great comedian. He ended up doing about 45 minutes when he was scheduled to do 15, and he was also incredibly high, but still had a great set. So all's well that ends well.
You gotta know your limits.
Well, it's a difficult thing with edibles. That's the thing. You know, that when you sit around and smoke marijuana, you're like, holy shit, this is fucking
right. You can pace it.
But when you're doing edibles, you're like, why do I even feel this way? And you're like, oh, that's right. An hour and a half ago, I ate just candy, like it was candy.
Well, Ron, then when you do it after your show,
yeah, that is true. That's a really good point. It is a good point that comedians, you have 23 hours a day to do whatever you want to do. And this 1 hour. That's the only time we want you to keep it together.
You show up and you say stuff. That's like the basics. Yeah.
We didn't even really have to keep it together. It was a weed show. We were allowed to be very high. Just
you
not
have a
go
pretty
home
high
and forget.
tolerance, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to smoke.
Well, when we did Doug Loves Movies, half the show was really high and half weren't.
Yes.
And I think it's very true of the audience as well. I mean, when we were throwing donuts for 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't think this was in the basic concept of the show. We've thrown a lot of donuts now.
Yeah, you could see who was high in the audience with their enthusiasm.
Yeah, because they were catching the donuts with their mouth.
This is great.
And then a couple people in the audience being like, dodging donuts.
Yeah. They buy the donuts, though, which is crazy.
I don't get it.
If you want a donut, just eat the one you bought.
Right.
And they give a whole box to Doug.
And then hope that they get a piece of one thrown back at them.
Or eat one off the floor when they could have just had one from the shop.
Right. But there's a give and take with that audience like I've never seen before, where they're all yelling out, no, that's not the way the game goes.
Yeah.
You've got the wrong person answering now.
They have their own little
fucking
language.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing I've ever read.
They'll be like, you skipped Bobby.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what the really intense moment was when Bobby wanted to look what was on the back of I think it was like on the bottom of the box of donuts, and everyone was screaming him to stop looking, but Bobby still just kind of was like, should I?
He really wanted to see it.
Yeah. And then everyone, like, the audience was mad. They're like, do not look at the bottom. But then you guys leave the stage before that's ever read, so I just kept thinking, Bobby never got to find out what was on the bottom of that.
I've done that show twice without knowing why there's something on the back of the card.
It's like a shithead of the day or something, I think.
Yeah.
And they write it on the back of their sign. There's so much crafting that goes into that show.
Unbelievable. They're
really
knitting
crafty.
things, you know?
I just love the idea of like a Doug Benson fan who's really into rules.
That's not how it works.
And then when you have to say your name, Moynihan was like this, Bobby? It was so timid.
He was one of the high ones.
Yeah, he was so timid to get out there. Bobby? I don't know whether he thought that he didn't understand the rules or what. It's fun as shit, though.
I think that there's just a general uncomfortability with having to say your own name.
Yeah,
I love it.
You were very comfortable. Amy Miller. The brand was right there.
She speaks in third person quite a bit, actually.
Amy Miller wants to answer.
You know, it's gotten weird. My family's called me that my entire life, so long before I ever performed. It's very strange. And now even the small children do it. Like, I have a 3-year-old niece who calls me Amy Miller. Everybody does it. My aunts. It's just strange. I don't know why.
It's a great name. Chris Stanley also has a name where you say both.
Full name.
This rolls right in, yeah.
Not me. Noah Garden Swartz doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
If you would have just been 10 years older, you would have changed it. You know, I think Jon Stewart was the last person to say, I'm changing my name to a normal name.
Yeah, he's what, John Leibowitz, right?
Yeah.
Or Leibowitz?
Yeah. And he would have never made it in this business. I don't know. I don't know what, you know, I never know who decides, but it's always funny that you use, I guess, your middle name when you do that.
Yeah.
I think that, but you're right. I think a lot less people are doing it. It seems like less performers are changing.
Well, by the
their
time you got to Zach Galifianakis,
They're like, we can handle it.
He opened up the
can
doors
do it.
for all of
Yeah.
us.
If he can do it, anyone can.
There's a comic in San Francisco named Zach Ciappelloni, and he's very, very Italian. So it's got all the H's and P's and L's and N's, and you don't know which ones are double and which ones aren't. And he didn't change he changed the spelling of his last name to how people say it. So he just phonetically spells it out now and left out all the other letters.
Louis C.K. too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Louis C.K. is the same way.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I saw Galifianakis on TV, and he goes, "I'm Zach Galifianakis. I hope I pronounced that correctly." And I thought, I honestly, I said, I'm going to be a fan of this guy for the rest of my life. Whatever he does from this
That's a great
point on, I'm with him. All right, we got a break here. We'll be right back in a moment. Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. Amy Miller and Noah Garnsworth are in studio. Amy's performing at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival in Portland, Oregon, June 1st to the 5th. Go to amymillercomedy.com for more information. And Noah's performing at Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, this Thursday, May 26th through Saturday, May 28th. Go to Noah G Comedy for all additional dates.
And Noah, you're doing Whiplash tonight, did you say? Or?
Yeah, I'll be at Whiplash at UCB Theater at 11 o'clock.
And then, Amy, you'll be masturbating your way all the way across the country.
Yes. Before that, my last show in New York is tomorrow. Before I come back, is at the Cake Shop tomorrow.
So do you know where you're moving in L.A. yet?
No, I mean, a lot of the comics now, because you were just saying in the break, like, we'll move anywhere, white people, have been gentrifying Glendale. So that's the latest spot we found. So I think like kind of on the east side, but not too long to get to like the Comedy Store and stuff, so I can do that whole scene and
where do the
wait
Mexicans
outside.
move once the white people push them on? We never find
Let's
out.
ask Mr. Trump.
Well, see, this is a generational thing. When I was younger, you left people to their neighborhoods, and you go, "Oh, we don't." As white people, we don't go into those neighborhoods. But then your generation was raised to see everyone as equal, and now you push people out of their neighborhoods.
See what equality does.
Yeah, it does. You'll get off on a subway anywhere. Any fucking where.
Yeah. You ask for the tamale recipe first and then drive them out.
It's like young white kids show up because they don't have money, so they'll move into those neighborhoods first, and then smart business owners then go, these people need coffee. They need coffee, they need a bookstore, they need whatever,
The same, gays will do that in every neighborhood. Like a gay will go into a slum and go, we're going to open up an art gallery here, and then a little place to eat, and then the housewives start to come in, and sooner or later the people who live there are going, we can no longer afford to be here. The amount of great restaurants that get driven out of New York because the fact that their restaurant made the people care about the neighborhood, it's stunning to me.
Well, the gays are being driven out now in San Francisco.
Yeah, the gays are being driven out, but they don't care. They'll find a new ghetto, they'll find a new slum, and they'll just redo this all the time.
Just wait till you see what they do with Oakland.
Yeah.
They're working on it. It's crazy. Yeah, when you go to the Castro now, it's like, it's just not as much of a gay scene as it used to be, and all the clubs are closing, and pretty soon it won't be covered in rainbow flags anymore.
Isn't that strange when you think about that? And nobody wanted to live there years ago. Nobody.
No.
And now they're like, oh, you can't be here anymore. It's filled with tech-savvy people. Everyone's just going around being tech-savvy.
Yeah, you need to take your poodle and get to Oakland.
Yeah.
Bark and Borrow pushed the gays out of San Francisco.
Well, there was a time when all the white people left Manhattan. They just drove out and they just started to live in the suburbs. And that happened in every city. Cleveland was dying, Philly, Oakland, didn't matter. And then all of a sudden white people just start swimming back into the city. And they're like, we don't want you all anymore. There's too many of you. You're making the city dull. You're turning the city into a mall.
Yeah, and also you left, and with white flight came, like, all the schools turned shitty, and now you're back, and now you're like, oh, we need magnet schools, because we can't send our kids to those public schools.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. What about our schools? What? Why are you having kids in the city? What is wrong with you? Move out to the suburbs with a yard. Chris, you grew up though, you're one of the few people born and raised in Astoria.
That's right. Yeah. Anyone else I talked to in Astoria is not from there.
Yeah.
They've just moved there because now there's nothing but new construction.
Now, you grew up in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
So when did you get a bedroom for yourself?
Maybe about when I went to college.
No, but when did you get a bed? Because you're still in that apartment.
Yeah. Oh, 5 years ago or something.
When your mom died.
Yeah, my mom passed away.
When your mom died, you were able to see what it was like to have a private space in the home for yourself.
I was able to stretch out a little bit, Ron.
She made that sacrifice for her boy.
When he was younger, he just sleep sitting up in a kitchen chair.
Hell on my back.
Yeah, was it?
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Just constantly in pain.
But did you watch like shows where people had a home and bedrooms and think it was like sci-fi?
Oh, it was weird. And then like I had like friends in like elementary school and like wonder if they share a fucking one bedroom or what their like situation is. And they talk about like their own rooms. Like that sounds crazy. Like if anyone lived in a fucking house in my neighborhood, it's like blown away. It's like a house. That's nuts.
Before he got into the dark web, that was his version of porn. Just looking at houses.
True. Just house porn.
2 rooms really got him off.
Dude, I really can get into house porn if I start to watch that on TV.
House porn can be fun.
Anything where they're like, we're going to give you 3 different places and you have to pick one to live in. And I'll just be screaming at the TV. And then when I find out where my money would go anywhere else, I'd be like the fucking king of Bolivia. You know what I mean? I'd just have castles and fucking gun moats, and it just would be unbelievable. You see these people, they're like, we're moving into this space, and this giant home, that's $800 a month. Like, you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. And they're always picky about one small thing in the house.
Right.
That's a problem. Like, just, I don't know if this closet's big enough. But it's $100,000.
Yeah.
I watched this one. I can't even remember why I would even be watching it. It was like late at night. I had nothing to do. And this one woman was going through every house. And for whatever reason, she kept on saying, I need a slop sink. I can't live in a house without a slop sink. And by the end of the episode, I was like, say slop sink one more fucking time. I'm gonna go fucking nuts. It's the only thing she cared about. And then finally she's like, I got my slop sink. And the house is nice too.
Right.
Like, why was this woman, what did she need a fucking slop sink for? What
This is why you couldn't be a realtor.
No.
You couldn't be a realtor.
No, I would not be able to.
Yeah.
I would not be able to help that
say
person.
What you want, one more fucking
and then you get nothing.
I will beat you and your whole fucking family to death. Manson style. I'll fucking paint piggies on the wall and write Helter Skelter in your own blood. Okay?
Yeah, but she can clean it up in the slop sink.
That is nice to have. It is nice. I get it though. It's nice to have
I
that.
want a fucking slop sink, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not my only requirement for a home.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know if I've even heard the term before you brought it up today. This is all new to me.
It goes in like a mud room, right? Is that where it goes?
All right, look, we're looking at the slop sink.
This is the slop
It
sink.
looks like you could buy one for a couple $100.
Yeah,
It goes
seems
in
like
your
you
mud
could-
room.
You could, I mean, she was like standing on this like beautiful, sprawling, like wraparound balcony. She's like, doesn't have a slop sink though.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it.
This woman's the worst.
Chris, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I was thinking
What?
Australia would seem pretty cool.
Why?
Oh my God, you don't like nature. I
Yeah.
can't imagine you with the wildlife.
I'd be on the coast where there's less nature.
This is how city he is.
There's a lot of nature.
Ocean.
He,
Literally, the most abundant form of nature there is.
he told us not too long ago that he's never seen a robin. The only bird he knows is pigeons. I'm like, you're not looking around.
And sparrows.
Well, we tried to explain that he claimed that it wasn't until his early 20s that he saw a colored bird, as he called
Blue
it.
jay, yeah, one of those colored birds.
We call them African American birds, Chris.
I saw a blue jay in a fucking tree. I was like, what's that blue in the tree? Someone's like, that's a blue jay.
You gotta look up.
Yeah. Look up in the air.
These are birds that exist in New York City. Like
Down south, they got them color birds that everybody's talking about. Starting, them Jew birds are coming down from New York trying to help them get the vote.
Those are canaries.
Just squawking at everyone. No one else has watched the Lyndon Johnson thing
with Bryan Cranston?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
It's
it.
fucking amazing. This country, has always just been so shitty and fucked up. I don't know why they lied and told us when we were little, greatest country in the world, because we have so much to be ashamed of. Any age that you go, we're like, oh, that's embarrassing. Doesn't matter where you land in our timeline, it's cringy.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
It's a lot of not good. And that's all they told you. You are so lucky. You live in the best country in the world. And then they also say, you know, things used to be better. Things were so great.
Yes.
Simpler times.
Yes. Simpler times when women couldn't vote.
Yeah.
Could hit them with a stick.
You can still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 50s when, you know, the lunch counters were nicer. Like, when do you want to go back to?
Make America great again.
Why do you think I'm jerking off across the whole thing?
You know what? Seriously, this is finally a travel show I will watch.
Amy masturbates across America.
She's at the Statue of Liberty looking both ways. Looks like I can get a quick one in here. That is fucking so funny. I bet we could pitch him and do it.
I did see I did see Mount Rushmore, and I was kind of in that, like, I was just creeped out that it happened ever, like that someone was like, let's just carve these four old white racists into a mountain so you can come look at. Like, it's very creepy when you go up there.
Here's what happened, too. Like, after Reagan, there was a lot of Reagan supporters, and they wanted to get high schools and banks named after him, whatever. And they said, we'd like to do a fifth. There's a spot that we could do a fifth thing. And they're like, look, this was a bad idea in the first place. This is really embarrassing that this even exists. To add to it now would be horrifying.
It's real terrifying. And there's a moment when you come down from Rushmore, when you're coming like around the side of the mountain, where there's just one like profile view of only Washington, and he's real close and all lit up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of the scariest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. I agree. I felt the same way. I felt like this is...
I screamed out loud.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do shrooms or acid and go check out Rushmore.
I just want to do shrooms or acid. I don't care where we go. We can sit
in here, in studio.
Yeah, definitely don't want to leave.
That's what I've been telling people. Just Google it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you don't have to drive to South Dakota.
Did you see Crazy Horse, the Crazy Horse monument?
Oh, the people are building on their own? Yeah.
I wonder even how far along they are, because I knew that.
All right, let's see what it looks like now. The Crazy Horse Monument. This, you went and turned off your...
Joe. That's nothing.
Chris, could you send Vito in to use the other one? Joe's totally butt-fucking our computer. All right, here we go.
Every time he turns it.
Yeah.
Crazy Horse
doesn't want we're stealing his soul.
Now, these people decided that because of Mount Rushmore, they would build something even bigger for the Indians. But it's not like the state is doing this. Just one family started to do this years ago. Is that how far they are now?
No, that can't be. That's a long time ago. So, like, try to find a more recent.
You don't think that face is pretty far along, Gail?
But I think that they still have a lot of... Look, Crazy Horse Monument. Google Crazy Horse Monument.
I've been there a few times, and it's not supposed to be completed until after I'm dead.
Yeah,
Which
I know.
could be
You know
any
when you're
day
dying.
now, yeah.
They just can't wait. Maybe that is as far along as it is. I thought I've seen... Because that's his face, but...
It's all publicly funded.
Publicly, they have a bucket. There's literally a bucket that you could throw money into.
Is that on my route, Joe? Can we map this out?
This is where you need to go now.
Yeah. Can you imagine just fucking spanking up there? God, that'd be fantastic. Right under the nose.
Wow,
but it's like 10 times the size of Mount Rushmore. It's massive.
And you can walk up right. That seems scary too.
Yeah, there's no rails. You just got to help yourself up there.
Also,
bring my own rails.
At the Crazy Horse Monument was the first time that I ate Dippin' Dots, and for some reason, that's what I always think of.
Nice.
And I was just like eating some Dippin' Dots, and be like, "What a great day!"
I bet that would make Crazy Horse feel good to know that.
And I remember saying, "Look, stop paying attention to the Dippin' Dots."
Do you remember when they used to call Dippin' Dots ice cream of the future?
Oh yeah, it was like space ice cream.
Yeah.
They were acting like we'll be eating Dippin' Dots on Mars.
For every meal.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, these Dippin'... And now I don't know if you can find them anywhere.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can
know.
find them. There's machines like in a lot of those like turnpikes and through Ohio and Pennsylvania. And
You would
service
know.
centers.
See, you know this country.
All right, so you got your trip planned out.
Yeah.
Some Dippin' Dots at a turnpike before you go see Crazy
I
Horse.
got a Dippin' Dot machine and a bunch of them. I'm not a fan. I just like an ice cream.
I would agree.
I was
you're a
very
Dippin' Dot-
impressed.
Yeah,
I was
you're a Dippin'
very
Dot person.
impressed.
Yeah.
You're into the science of
Right.
it.
Joe's from Minnesota, so he's never been warm enough to eat ice cream yet. But someday.
I hear it's really great.
Everyone else in awe of this Native American family that's building Crazy Horse by hand, and you're like, but how about these Dippin' Dots?
My back was turned to the monument. Just like, these are fantastic.
What amazing things humans are capable of.
Well, it's funny to take kids anywhere because none of it's as you get older and older, you care more about the world. Like you'll go to a museum, and children are just running from one room to the other, and then you will see elderly people just stopping and studying, and you're like, we do the fucking educational system the wrong way. That old man wants to learn what the universe was. You know, he's like, well, I'm leaving. I better find out where I was.
Well,
you know?
How about my little brother when he saw the Grand Canyon? He just stepped out of the car.
And he said, it's fake. He looked at it and he said, it's fake. And I go like this, well, you're fucking fake too.
What do you think it was, a projection?
Yeah.
It just did, it looked, have you ever stood there before?
No.
It's so
insane.
bizarre looking
Yeah.
that it does seem like it's CGI. You just can't
Scary.
pick up, like, even if you're afraid of heights, you can stand at the edge and look down because it doesn't look real.
Yeah.
And you're just standing there and you're like, fuck, that's far down. It's like 5 miles. But if you're up like 15 feet, you're like, oh shit. I hope I don't fall and break my neck. But if you look down in that, you just don't, then people fall off all the time just being caught up in it. They're like, look how beautiful it is. And they just walk out into nothing.
Do they have a Grand Canyon death count?
I think they try to keep that away from the straits, like most.
That's not on the brochures.
Yeah. There's a reason that you can't open a window in Vegas because people would go out, and I think the people who take that trail and it doesn't work out is higher than you want to know.
That's like for the Golden Gate Bridge. They made the SF Chronicle stop printing any suicides on the front. They like the city decided they have to print it on like the 9th page or something if it happens. Because every time it was front page, then 10 more people would jump. You know.
I used to spend summers on Amity Island, and our mayor wouldn't even tell us that there were shark attacks.
You knew there was a shark out there.
Amity means friendship.
You let the people swim.
Look, I got anchors all over. It's a fun day. Don't you open and let that kid drop all over the dock.
That should just be something that communists watch to see what American capitalism is about. Chris, you forgot to let me know we're at the end of the show.
Yep, we are at the end of the show.
Man, I was just sailing along. Well, Amy, I guess we'll never see you again.
No. I'll be back. Yeah.
You'll be gone forever, but Noah, you'll be here anytime that you want to come in.
I'd love to. Thank you for having me.
It was great seeing you guys.
You guys too. I'm gonna miss you. And my new friend, Gail B.
Why don't you guys hug and just like have that moment of...
You don't have to direct it.
Yeah, I want to. I want you guys to exchange addresses so that you can write log for it. Yeah. You know what? You're going to make new summer friends.
Yeah.
And...
KIT.
Amy's going to make new summer friends, and then you'll have something to talk about in September.
Just promise me you'll write every time you masturbate on the road.
Tweet it out.
I'm scoping it.
It's happening again.
Amy Miller and Noah Gardensports have been in the studio. Amy's performing at the Cake Shop Comedy
formal, dude.
tomorrow night in Manhattan. Tomorrow night in Manhattan. Also, Amy's also performing at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival in Portland, Oregon, June 1st through the 5th. Go to amymillercomedy.com for more information. Noah's performing at Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, Thursday, May 26th through Saturday, May 28th. Go to noahgcomedy.com for more information. And Noah's performing tonight at Whiplash at the UCB Theater tonight at 11 p.m. On Twitter, it's at Amy Miller and at Noah G Comedy.
That's it for us. We'll see you guys all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!